Only those who've actually trained in badminton know how exhausting basic drills are. 15 minutes of drills is more tiring than playing for a full hour. But Weibai had been just as useless as him a moment ago. How was he getting more energized and spirited the more he practiced? Is he even human? Huh? Clutching his stomach as if in pain, Zhou Yin raised his other hand. Teacher, my stomach hurts. I need to take a break. An elective class wasn't military training, and the teachers were generally lenient. But seeing Zhou Yan's gesture, the badminton teacher had to struggle to keep a straight face. Was the spot the kid was clutching really his stomach? That was his bladder. Even though he was holding the wrong spot, Zhou Yin got his wish and went to rest. What he didn't expect was that the moment he casually plopped down on a chair, Shun Yuan and Simp arrived. Weibai was practicing his footwork when he suddenly felt a shift in the atmosphere. Why had everyone suddenly lost focus? Following their gazes, Weibai looked toward the edge of the court. He immediately spotted classmate Xie, dressed in a badminton outfit. She wore a light, ivory jacket over a skirt. It was a common style of athletic wear on the court, but Weibai thought it looked different on classmate Xie, radiating a healthy and exceptionally vibrant beauty. A few seconds later, Weibai noticed that Shun Yuan had also arrived, dressed in a pink and white athletic outfit. Two beauties had suddenly appeared, and they seemed to be looking for someone. Since practice time was almost over anyway, the teacher simply dismissed the class to play on their own. The crowd quickly dispersed. As they did, Weibai could overhear quiet whispers from those around him. That's Simp. So that's the campus belle? Damn, I'm convinced. Seriously, how can someone be that beautiful? People naturally like to look at beautiful things. The stares and comments held no malice, so Weibai paid them no mind. He stood in the singles court and waved to classmate Xie. In his view, classmate Xie jogged toward him, racket in hand. Want to play some singles first? Weibai asked. Simp nodded. Let's. Time to bully the little turtle. The two took their positions. The first few rallies were gentle. Gradually, Simp's movements grew noticeably faster, her power and rhythm tightening. 3 consecutive smashes forced Weibai to give it his all just to respond. It wasn't his first time playing against classmate Xie, and he was already aware of her skill level. But in that moment, he still wanted to ask, was this power, this technique, even fair? How hard must classmate Xie have worked as a child? How many extracurriculars did she have to take to become this pinnacle of all-around excellence? Classmate Xie was terrifying. Weibai's gaze sharpened as he focused all his energy on the game. Watching from the sidelines, Zhou Yin was dumbfounded. Good grief, were these two just playing a game? It looked more like a final showdown. He was glad he hadn't overestimated himself and signed up for mixed doubles. Otherwise, wouldn't he have been crushed by these two in the finals? Weibai was playing too impressively. Zhou Yin decided to steer clear of him for the day. Yuan, I'll play with you, Zhou Yin said, taking Shun Yuan's hand and leading her onto a court. After they took their positions, he served a gentle shot. The shuttlecock flew right past Shun Yuan's swinging racket and landed on the floor with a thud. What kind of serve was that? Shun Yuan stomped her foot. I couldn't even get it. Zhou Yin. So glad I didn't bite the bullet and sign up for mixed doubles. He thought once again. People came and went on the courts. A few of the girls, even though it was only May, were already wearing short badminton skirts, drawing a lot of attention. During a break for water, Weibai spotted Lin Shanshan. She was wearing a blue top and a white skirt, holding her racket, striking a pose, and taking a swing. Not far from her, another girl was crouching on the ground with a phone, clearly trying to get an angle that made her legs look longer. Are they shooting a TikTok video? He didn't follow Lin Shanshan's account. Is this the kind of video she usually posts? When we signed her, the goal was for her to be an online singer. This is the online part, but where's the singer? Their company isn't an MCN. Lin Shanshan put on an artificial performance of playing badminton for a few videos, her face stiff from smiling. Then she ran over to her friend to see how they came out. Shanshan, your legs look so long, her friend said. Lin Shanshan laughed. You're just good at taking pictures. After a moment of mutual flattery, they picked up their rackets, ready to leave. It was then that Lin Shanshan noticed Weibai and Simp were also there, apparently taking a break. Oh, I have to go say hi. Lin Shanshan had just taken a step forward when she saw the two of them take their positions and start playing again. She stepped back. Since they were playing, it was better not to disturb them. Weibai wasn't sure if the video Lin Shanshan had just filmed was for TikTok, nor did he plan to go over and find out. He simply made a mental note of it, thinking he would ask Shui Yunxin about it later, and then continued playing. Compared to the issue with Lin Shanshan's account, beating classmate Xie was more important. Although he was currently down by 5 points, he had to find a chance to turn the tables. 10 minutes later, Wei Bai, holding his racket, looked up at the sky. Classmate Xie, aren't we supposed to be practicing mixed doubles? Singles was boring, truly boring. Xian Yumin secretly smiled. When Wei Bai's gaze swept over, her small dimples immediately disappeared, and she nodded with a straight face. Did I overdo it with the trouncing? Next time I'll continue. Because the little turtle, dejected but stubbornly holding his head high after a loss, was very cute. There was still an empty court in the mixed doubles area. As the two walked over, Wei Bai called out to Zhou Yin to play mixed doubles. Zhou Yin looked at Shun Yueyuan, hesitating. He couldn't possibly say that his girlfriend was too much of a novice to play mixed doubles, could he? I need to practice singles. Zhou Yin shouted loudly. After shouting, he went back to playing with Shun Yueyuan. This time, he was determined to hit the shuttlecock onto Shun Yueyuan's racket. Wei Bai watched the back and forth and said in surprise, Shun Yueyuan doesn't know how to play badminton? Xian Yumin, she does. Wei Bai, all right then. After a moment's thought, Wei Bai simply told classmate Xie to wait there while he went to the east side to get Ning Buochao and Pan Kong. Wei Bai, come on, let's go play mixed doubles. Pan Kong, huh? What mixed doubles? With whom? Ning Buochao didn't understand either and looked at Wei Bai with a puzzled expression. Wei Bai explained, we don't have suitable mixed doubles partners. How about you two play against me and classmate Xie? Pan Kong scratched his head with a goofy smile. Isn't that a bit unfair? Ning Buochao nodded. Although I've heard you say that Sister Man is very skilled, she can't compare to us in terms of stamina, right? Wei Bai didn't dare to look them in their sincere eyes. It's fine. We're just playing for fun. Let's play then, Pan Kong smiled. We'll go easy on her later, so we don't upset her. The two followed Wei Bai to the mixed doubles area on the west side, greeted Xian Yumin, and started playing. 15 minutes later, Pan Kong gritted his teeth. Chower, I'm going all out. Ning Buochao, I'm already out of energy. Pan Kong, this shuttlecock must be off because of the wind. Ning Buochao, hold on, I haven't gotten my feel for it yet. Pan Kong, damn, these lights are too glaring. Ning Buochao, the shoes I'm wearing today are slippery. Pan Kong, water break, water break. Another half hour passed. Pan Kong and Ning Buochao both stared blankly. Is she that strong? No wonder he needed to find two guys for doubles. Thinking about how Wei Bai had just said, playing for fun, the two felt even more defeated. If this was playing for fun, then their earlier singles match was just child's play. Conversely, Wei Bai played more and more smoothly, feeling refreshed and invigorated. Regardless of the reason, he had finally won. And winning felt great. For Wei Bai, playing ball sports was like playing video games. If you kept losing, there was no enjoyment and no point in continuing. Now, Wei Bai found a great deal of enjoyment at the expense of Konger and Chao. Let's go again, Wei Bai called out. Pan Kong waved his hand. Let's just call it a day. Ning Buochao, I think maybe we can go eat now? It's going to get crowded soon. Wei Bai walked to the side of the court, took his phone out of his bag, and checked the time. It's 5:30. He looked at Xian Yumin. Classmate Xie, shall we go eat? Xian Yumin, what should we eat? This was a major dilemma. Calling over Zhou Yin and Shun Yueyuan, the group discussed and decided to go out for a nice meal. They had burned too much energy playing sports and needed to refuel. Have you guys ever tried the Jiang Taigong all-you-can-eat barbecue? Shun Yueyuan said. It's $59 per person. The meat is real meat, especially the pork belly. It's thick cut and really fragrant. The side dishes and dipping sauces are also pretty good. Pan Kong loved all-you-can-eat barbecue the most and immediately agreed upon hearing this. No one else had any objections. Shun Yueyuan took out her phone, making tapping keyboard sounds. I'll ask Zhuozhuo and Xiao to come along. With two couples from two dorms, it was inevitable that they would often get together. At first, Pancom would feel a little awkward seeing Yishuan, but after meeting a few more times, they interacted like normal friends. He was getting along well with his girlfriend, and now he had almost forgotten the stunning feeling he had when he first saw Yishuan. Once it was settled, the group of people, carrying their bags and rackets, walked towards Northgate 2. The barbecue restaurant was right by Northgate 2. Simp deliberately fell to the back of the group, and of course, Wei-Bai stayed with her. "You sweated a lot just now," Simp said softly. Wei-Bai smiled. "It's only May. When July and August come, the sweat will be pouring down like water when I play." In fact, Wei-Bai had just noticed that classmate Xie was also sweating. There were glistening beads of sweat on her neck and the tip of her nose. Shoving the racket into his bag to free up a hand, Wei-Bai took classmate Xie's hand. The two were now even closer. The scent Wei-Bai smelled also became clearer. He chuckled in a low voice. "Classmate Xie, did you know that your body fragrance gets stronger when you sweat?" On previous occasions, during XXXX, when classmate Xie was drenched in sweat, Wei-Bai would also smell this strong, cold, woody scent when he got close to her. It was magical that someone could actually smell fragrant after sweating. The moment he finished speaking, a faint pink blush immediately appeared on Simumin's cheeks. "I know now," she said coolly. Was classmate Xie being shy? It was a complete contrast to her ferocity when playing just now. Wei-Bai liked the spirited classmate Xie on the court, but he also liked the currently blushing classmate Xie. As long as it was a side of classmate Xie, he liked it. "Classmate Xie, have you seen Lurk?" he asked. Simumin, "A little." Wei-Bai, Chui Ping, and Yu Zicheng were practicing shooting in the suburbs to assassinate Lu Qiaoshan. When Chui Ping got the gun, she looked so heroic, hitting the bullseye every time. The way Yu Zicheng looked at her, then, was so intense. Simumin, Wei-Bai smiled. "It's the same when classmate Xie plays badminton." Simumin stopped and turned to look at him. "You too. When you play badminton, when you play basketball, when you sing, when you work, when you study, you're the same." Wei-Bai teased her. "Does classmate Xie's gaze also get that intense when looking at me?" Simumin. She was rarely silent. After a moment's thought, she felt there was no need for silence now. So she looked up, her pearly dimples blooming, her voice firm and clear. "Yes." Now, it was Wei-Bai's turn to be flustered. He thought such a question didn't need an answer. He hadn't expected classmate Xie to be so direct, catching him completely off guard. The tips of his ears turned red. "Ahem." Wei-Bai looked toward the main group. "They didn't even wait for us." As he spoke, he pulled classmate Xie's hand and hurried to catch up. The barbecue was indeed, as Xinyu Yuan had said. The quality of the beef was average, but the pork belly was visibly beautiful. As everyone knows, if it looks good, it tastes good. The 8 of them gathered around, grilling and eating, creating a very lively atmosphere. At a little past 6, Song Liusi and her roommate walked into the restaurant and saw this very scene. Panic seized her heart. Ningbo Chao came for barbecue. Why didn't he tell her? Didn't he used to love sharing his life with her the most? What he ate for lunch, what he ate for dinner, he would even send her a picture of a beautiful cloud he saw. She had found it annoying and was often too lazy to even open the pictures. But recently, Ningbo Chao had stopped sending her these things, and she instead felt a sense of panic. Could it be that Ningbo Chao didn't like her as much anymore? No way. He was still completely obedient to her. Although his recent confessions were less thoughtful than before, their pace had quickened significantly. It was clear he was getting anxious. That's what she thought to herself, but Song Liusi still couldn't help but look at that large table. It was a table for 8, with people sitting in pairs opposite each other. The person sitting opposite Ningbo Chao was a girl with short hair, a small face, and fair skin. The girl was very pretty and was talking to Ningbo Chao with a smile. Ningbo Chao was smiling too. He even passed a lettuce leaf to that girl. How could this be? Ningbo Chao was such a shy person. Besides her, he would never talk to other girls. Her roommate noticed something was wrong with Song Liusi and tugged her arm. "Want to go over and say hi?" Song Liusi's face turned cold. "No need." Ho Xin knew Song Liusi very well. Hearing her tone, she knew she was angry inside. You're not upset that they're all eating together, are you? I think this kind of socializing is necessary. Necessary? Song Liusi bit her lip. Then is it also necessary for him to talk to the girl sitting opposite him? Ho Xinshin's eyes widened. What else? It's not like Ning Buochao is a mute. It was obvious there was nothing going on between Ning Buochao and that girl. Good heavens, what was wrong with Song Liusi, getting so worked up over this level of interaction? If she really cared, she should just accept his confession quickly. Then it would be perfectly reasonable to be jealous as his girlfriend. As an outsider who had been closely following the 99 confessions, her roommate was truly anxious for Song Liusi. Especially recently, Ning Buochao's confessions had lost more and more of their ceremonial feel. Her roommate instinctively felt that something was off, that perhaps something had happened with Ning Buochao that Song Liusi didn't know about. Cici, noticing that more and more people were coming into the restaurant, Ho Xinshin tugged Song Liusi again. If we're not going to say hi, maybe we should find a table first? Otherwise, there won't be any seats left. Song Liusi pulled her gaze back, her face cold, and followed her roommate to a table farthest away from the group of 8. You go get the meat, Song Liusi said, her head lowered. I don't want to run into them. Ho Xinshin agreed. Okay. Having been Song Liusi's meal partner for so long, she had a good understanding of her tastes. She knew she didn't like fatty meat, not even when it was grilled to fragrant perfection. Ho Xinshin got a plate of pork belly for herself and stacked 4 plates of fatty beef for Song Liusi, preparing to take them back first. As she turned around, she happened to see Ning Buochao coming over to get meat. Senior, this fatty beef is just so. The pork belly is pretty good, Ning Buochao said. Ho Xinshin gave an awkward laugh. Cici doesn't eat fatty meat. Oh, Ning Buochao nodded. That's a shame. Hearing this, Ho Xinshin felt even more strongly that Ning Buochao had changed a lot. If it were before, had they run into each other at the restaurant, he would have definitely said excitedly, "Are you here with Senior Cici? I'll pay for you guys." Or, "Can I join your table? I'll grill the meat for you." And things like that. As she brushed past Ning Buochao, Ho Xinshin sighed inwardly. Such great childhood sweethearts. Why didn't Song Liusi know how to cherish it? Now look, his heart has grown cold. Even if they get together in the future, there will still be a rift between them, won't there? Carrying the meat back to their table, she made 2 more trips, bringing back 2 glasses of orange juice on the last one. When she returned and sat down, she saw Song Liusi earnestly grilling the pork belly. This one needs to be grilled a bit longer, Song Liusi said. You should have some mashed potatoes first to tide you over. Ho Xinshin let out another long sigh in her heart. Honestly, as a friend, Song Liusi was impeccable, thoughtful, and generous. But when it came to Ning Buochao, why was she so awkward? She had tried persuading her and scolding her. There were some things Song Liusi understood herself, but she just wasn't willing to change. Ho Xinshin was at her wit's end and could only eat her mashed potatoes slowly. What did you just say to him? Song Liusi asked. Ho Xinshin's hand, holding the spoon, paused. You saw. Song Liusi nodded. Ning Buochao told me the pork belly was better, and I said you don't eat fatty meat. Ho Xinshin's heart clenched, and she decided to tell the plain truth. He didn't say anything else after that. He didn't say anything else. Song Liusi looked up, her eyes filled with deep confusion. Ho Xinshin nodded emphatically. Yeah, nothing else. He didn't come over to say hello, didn't offer to pay for them. You could even say he had no reaction at all. Maybe he didn't hear you clearly. Song Liusi's throat tightened, but she quickly found an excuse. Right, the music in here is too loud. He must not have heard and doesn't know I'm here too. As Song Liusi spoke, Ho Xinshin cut the pork belly with a clack-clack of the scissors, her mind wandering. It's over. It looks like 99 Confessions is about to become a chasing the husband to the crematorium plot. After the crematorium, will there be a happy ending? Thinking of Ning Buochao's recent attitude, Ho Xinshin thought it was unlikely. Whatever, she was just a bystander. Why was she thinking so much about it? Cici, are you sure you don't want to try the pork belly? Ho Xinshin picked up a piece of sizzling, glistening pork belly, holding a lettuce leaf in her other hand. Dip it in the sauce, wrap it up like this, and it's not greasy at all. It's to die for. Song Liusi forced a smile. You eat it. I'll grill the beef. They had arrived late. Halfway through their meal, they saw the group of 8 leaving the restaurant in a large, boisterous procession. Among them, Ning Buichao was tilting his head, saying something to his roommate, his expression relaxed. He must not know she's in a restaurant too. Song Liusi told herself this. He definitely doesn't know. But even if he didn't know she was here, he saw Xin Xin. Xin Xin is her best friend. Since he ran into her, shouldn't Ning Buichao have offered to pay for Xin Xin's meal? How could he be so ignorant of social etiquette, so inept at handling social situations, so ungenerous and thoughtless? Song Liusi was distracted, not even noticing that she had burned the beef. Ho Xin Xin grilled the meat for her while telling amusing stories to distract her. But Song Liusi just couldn't cheer up. The barbecue meal felt tasteless to her. The scene of the group of people talking and laughing as they left the barbecue restaurant kept flashing before her eyes. Ning Buichao really didn't even glance back once. He really must not have known she was here, right? Otherwise, how could he have resisted looking back? The barbecue restaurant was about the same distance from home as it was from the dorm. Weibo suggested going home to stay the night. Anyway, there was a laptop at home, so it wouldn't interfere with work. We're all sweaty and smell of smoke. Let's go home, take a shower, and get some good rest, he said. Sim Yuman was of course willing. So the two of them split off from a main group at the entrance of the barbecue restaurant. How could the dorm possibly be as comfortable as home? But in order not to detach from school life, and also to allow classmate Xie to make more precious friends, Weibo usually only went home on weekends. It was Wednesday, and after an impromptu decision to go home, Weibo suddenly felt like he was back in high school, skipping evening study hall to go straight home. He didn't know when it started, but the little home he shared with classmate Xie had come to feel just like the one he shared with his parents, filling him with a sense of belonging. He held classmate Xie's hand, and they walked home in the direction of the sunset. The sky is so beautiful today, Weibo remarked. Logically, with his strong grasp of language and having recited classical poetry since kindergarten, he should have had a wealth of verses at his disposal to describe such a beautiful sky. But in reality, his first reaction was simply, "It's so beautiful." Xianyuman nodded. "Yes, it is." Weibo chuckled. He was the kind of person who truly appreciated the small joys in life. An afternoon like this, playing badminton, eating barbecue with friends, and then strolling hand-in-hand with classmate Xie, while admiring the sunset, felt simple and blissful. This was what life was about. While he pursued professional success, wasn't a career just one part of living a good life? Weibo recalled a quote he'd seen somewhere. True happiness is living your life in the way you want. He loved his current way of life, so he felt a genuine sense of happiness. Soon, they arrived home. Their usual routine was for Xianyuman to shower first, followed by Weibo. Today, after getting home, Xianyuman slipped on her slippers, drew the curtains, and looked over at Weibo, who was getting a drink from the water dispenser. With a hint of a dimple, she asked, "Together?" Huh. Weibo didn't quite get it. Together what? Drink water together. He raised the cup in his hand. 45 degrees? Xianyuman walked over, took a few sips from the cup in his hand, then looked up and said softly, "Let's bathe together." What kind of invitation was this? How could that be okay? Could it be okay? Wait, why couldn't it be okay? Weibo immediately put down his cup like a general heading in a battle. Let's go. But how did one bathe together? Their home only had one shower and one bathtub. Were they supposed to stand under the shower head together, with him soaping her up and her shampooing his hair? The thought felt a little awkward to Weibo. Go where? Xianyuman blinked. Wait, I'll wash first, then you wash, and then we'll get in together. Now Weibo understood. They would wash up separately first, and then take a romantic bath for two. Weibo rubbed his hands together. Isn't our tub a little small? It's fine, Xianyuman said. They should be able to make it work, right? Xianyuman went to take her shower. Weibo waited in the living room, his mouth growing dry. To be clear, he wasn't anxious. He was just looking forward to it. He was a curious person by nature, full of anticipation for new experiences. Wasn't that perfectly normal? After about 10 minutes of anticipation, he finally saw classmate Xie emerge, wrapped in a bath towel with her hair in a drying cap. Weibo immediately went over, gave her soft, pale cheek a gentle poke, and then headed into the bathroom. As soon as he stepped inside, A wave of warm steam and fragrance hit him. Weibai paused. He just remembered that he usually waited a while before showering after her, but today he had gone in right away. His mind suddenly flashed back to the first time they'd showered back-to-back, when he'd seen what she had changed out of in the laundry hamper. After that, he'd only ever seen them in the small washing machine for delicates. As he thought of this, his eyes unconsciously glanced toward the hamper under the sink. All he could see was a light, ivory sweatshirt on top, and nothing else. Why do you feel a tiny flicker of disappointment? Was he that kind of weirdo? Shower. He had a shower. Right now. Weibai always felt a sense of happiness whenever he showered at home. The bathroom was exquisitely designed. The light was a warm yellow, creating a cozy atmosphere. The pure white shower was simple and comfortable, and the matching bathtub was small and elegant. Above it, there was a waterproof shelf holding things like shampoo and body wash, along with a collection of various bottles and jars that Weibai never used, but classmate Xia often did. The gas water heater provided ample water pressure, washing away the exhaustion from their game and the lingering smell of barbecue. Classmate Xia bought all the shampoo and body wash. Weibai had never cared about brands, but after trying her foaming shampoo and body wash, he never bought his own again. After rinsing off, Weibai, just as she had done, wrapped a dry towel around himself. He then opened the window for ventilation, pulled down the blinds, and started to fill the tub. As the water was running, he poked his head out of the bathroom. Classmate Xia. Come on, classmate Xia. Xia Mumin walked over, holding 2 wine glasses, each filled with a small amount of red wine. There was wine ice. A little drink would certainly set the mood. He reached out to take a glass of wine and said with a smile, I don't think we can fit the tray stand in the bathtub if both of us get in. Xia Mumin raised her glass, which made a crisp clinking sound. Let's drink it now. It was just one sip of wine, but Weibai finished it in one go. Then, it quickly went to his head. In reality, the alcohol content of red wine wasn't that high, certainly not enough to make one lightheaded from a single sip. So, Weibai attributed it to the heady anticipation of the upcoming lovebird bath. Putting down his wine glass, he eagerly pulled his girlfriend into the bathroom and closed the door. And now, dear readers, what comes next is not for your eyes. Xia, my dear classmate, we'll have to get a bigger bathtub in the future. No, we should get a bigger house, one that can have a bigger bathtub. I think one of those sunken tubs would be nice. What do you think? A round, sunken, built-in one. A round one? Not oval. Either is fine. Right, as long as it's not square, or it'll be uncomfortable. With beautiful fantasies of a big house and a big bathtub, Weibai hugged his dear classmate Xia and fell into a sweet sleep. It wasn't until class the next day that he remembered the issue with Lin Shanshan's account. In class, while the teacher was reminiscing about his memorable years as an international student, Weibai listened with his left ear and, with an earphone in his right, went to check on Lin Shanshan's account. It was mostly filled with videos of her singing on campus or in her dorm. Only the most recent few videos had started to feature miscellaneous content. It was clear that her engagement was poor, and she wanted to try a few different approaches. Weibai went back to watch a few of the singing videos and confirmed that Lin Shanshan had good potential, but the filming and editing completely lacked any sense of atmosphere. He remembered previously scrolling past a video of a female influencer singing on a rainy summer night. The video was imbued with the scent of damp air and the feeling of a summer breeze. Lin Shanshan's videos had none of that. They felt dry and bland. Pondering this, Weibai opened his chat with Shui Yunxin. Weibai, hire a professional and aesthetically minded videographer and editor for Lin Shanshan. Shui Yunxin replied instantly. We've been looking, just haven't found the right person. Weibai, scroll through videos from other people at school. See if any have excellent editing. Shui Yunxin. Okay, I'll screen them again. I'll try to hire someone by the end of the month. Weibai. Okay. Shui Yunxin. By the way, the pilot episode of Supernova Incubation Camp is being released this weekend. Weibai. Okay, I'll go vote for Chen Mao then. Shui Yunxin. We have 3 people in it. 3 people, yet Weibai only mentioned Chen Mao. Wasn't his favoritism a bit too obvious? After a few more exchanges, the conversation ended. Shui Yunxin suddenly felt that something was off. Wait, was Weibai just assigning her work? Could it be that the young master was now officially involved in the company's operations? Hiss. Based on her years of experience reading novels and watching dramas, there was bound to be a conflict between the company's heir and its current management. It seemed she would have to tread carefully between Shui Peng and Wei Bai from now on. Wei Bai wasn't heavily involved in Mu Chao's work. Regarding the issue with Lin Shanshan's account, he was just offering a suggestion. The specifics of how to manage it were still up to Brother Chui and Shui Yunxin. He didn't worry much about the operational side, but he still had to write the songs. Lately, all his energy had been focused on Lingxi, leaving him with little inspiration. But writing commercial songs sometimes didn't require inspiration, but rather a grasp of popular trends and the ability to arrange and combine them. In the time it took for half a class, Wei Bai had arranged and combined a song. He played the melody in his head, and the more it looped, the more he felt the song had a very trendy, influencer-style vibe. Since it had such an influencer vibe, he might as well give it to Zhou Yin to sing. After all, that fellow Zhou Yin was quite popular with audiences, and his account was growing quickly. He already had 2 million followers on Douyin. Once this song was released, Zhou Yin would transform from a cover-singing influencer into an influencer singer. The nature of his status and the money he could earn would be completely different. Hey, how come your mind is only filled with money? Don't you hope your friend can become a big star? Of course, I hope so. Definitely. After all, you can only make money after you get famous. Let's turn our attention back to the song itself. The melody was too simple. The arrangement had to be magnificent and catchy. Everyone, look at the PPT. At the front of the classroom, the teacher was finally about to start the lecture. Wei Bai put the song aside and began to focus on the class. Supernova Training Camp was a major variety show from Goose Factory, and it had already generated a lot of buzz online before it even aired. Shui Yunxin used a side account to join the Supernova Training Camp super topic and observe the heated discussions within. Official photos of all 101 Supernova trainees released. Which style of hottie do you prefer? Are those 9 in the second picture for real? They're way too homely, aren't they? The fourth one in the first picture, Jin Shun, is so handsome. Winky face. The last one in the second row, Han Han Shun, is my type. So cute. Returning sweetheart Rong Xiao. Milk-skinned Rong Xiao. Stage king Rong Xiao. Everyone come and pick Rong Xiao. What's the name of the one in the middle of the 9th picture? He looks quite unique in the photo. Shui Yunxin scrolled through the comments for ages and finally found one mentioning Chun Mao. She excitedly clicked to reply to the comment. Chun Mao, strikingly handsome. After commenting, she eagerly awaited a reply, believing this person could become Chun Mao's #1 fan. But an hour passed, and there was no reply. A day passed, and still no reply. There wasn't even a single like. Shui Yunxin was genuinely starting to panic. It wasn't the lack of a reply that panicked her, but the fact that there were too many popular contestants in Supernova Training Camp. There were returnees from other survival shows, second-generation celebrities, artists who had debuted and even gained some fame abroad, and actors who had played the fourth male lead in hit dramas. They all had existing fan bases, people betting on them, and some had already signed with major companies in the industry, securing a debut spot in advance. In this situation, was there any hope for the 3 from Mu Chao? Actually, among the 3 from Mu Chao, there was also a returnee, but he was one who had returned multiple times and was still an unknown. Their stage skills weren't bad, but compared to those who had trained for years in South Korea, there was a definite qualitative difference. Now, Supernova Training Camp was generating a lot of buzz before it even aired, and discussions about many popular contestants were constantly trending. But the 3 from Mu Chao were like weeds on the roadside, completely ignored. Especially Chun Mao, who was a complete newcomer without even a Weibo or Douyin account. He was so unknown that netizens had no idea who he was, a completely new face. Shui Yunxin couldn't help but worry. Can he really become famous? On Friday night, the night before the pilot episode aired, Shui Yunxin searched for Chun Mao on Weibo and still found nothing. She didn't understand why they hadn't done any marketing for Chun Mao. Sigh, how could someone with 0 followers compete with people who had hundreds of thousands or even millions of fans? Because Shui Peng and Wei Bai had always been so sure that Chun Mao would become famous, Shui Yunxin's expectations had been set very high. But the higher her expectations were raised, the more she felt that Shui Peng and Wei Bai's confidence was a bit absurd. Shui Yunxin turned over in bed, recalling what Wei Bai had said before. If the show was fair, Chun Mao would contend for first place and secure at least third. If it wasn't fair, he could still get a debut spot, just in a lower rank. Su Junxin startet Gao Ding, Zhong Xiao, Han Han Jian, Jin Jian, Fan Zuan, Jiang Wenhu, Jai Gaiyu, Guan Zhenliang, Gan Sui. There were only 7 debut spots in total, but there were far more than 7 contestants who already had names, reputations, and fans. The competition on this show was just too fierce. Saturday, the pilot episode of Supernova Training Camp aired. Shui Yunxin watched the show as if with a magnifying glass. In the 2-hour-plus program, the clear, front-facing shots of her artists added up to only 10 minutes, most of which were just scenes of them chatting with other contestants. During the group dance for the show's theme song, they had almost no screen time at all. Only Chun Mao got a single shot that flashed by in less than 2 seconds, where you could barely make out his face. Sigh, how could they attract any fans without any screen time? Shui Yunxin sighed. As expected, becoming a great manager isn't that easy. It's both difficult and easy. Shui Peng had come to the office at some point and was now standing behind Shui Yunxin, also watching the pilot. Brother Shui Yunxin turned around and held up 2 fingers, 2 seconds. He didn't even get 2 seconds of screen time. No screen time in the pilot, Shui Peng laughed. No screen time is a good thing. If he has none now, his fans will feel so bad for him when he gets famous. Shui Yunxin, but he has to get famous first. Don't worry, Shui Peng said. I've been a manager for so many years, and my judgment has never been wrong. Chun Mao will definitely become famous. Every time Shui Yunxin discussed Chun Mao with Shui Peng, she heard the same few sentences. She no longer had the energy to argue. What about the other 2? Shui Yunxin asked. Shui Peng, they'll be lucky to make it to the top 30. Shui Yunxin, is the gap really that big? Shui Peng pulled up a chair and sat down, explaining to her earnestly, let me put it this way. Idol survival shows are about talent, but they're also about story. No matter how talented someone is, if he doesn't have a unique style or a compelling story, it's very difficult for him to attract fans. Look at the pilot. Han Ha-chan got a lot of screen time, right? But when he participated in Youth With You the year before last, he placed outside the top 20. Why? Because he's a classic nice guy with no personality, and that doesn't attract fans. When fans watch these shows, they're looking at talent, but they're also looking for charisma and personality. Shui Yunxin fell silent. She thought about when she herself was a fan. She also liked celebrities with personality, especially those with great resilience, the kind who could withstand any storm. After a pause, Shui Yunxin asked, then what is the charm of Chun Mao's personality? She was Chun Mao's manager, but she actually didn't spend much time with him. Chun Mao's personality, Shui Peng smiled. At this time, Chun Mao is only 19 years old. His father is a gambling addict. His mother is never home. And he is single-handedly raising his younger sister who is preparing for the high school entrance exam. His sister is a top student and exceptionally well-behaved, but he dropped out of school early and is covered in thorns. The suitcase he uses, the clothes, shoes, and socks he wears are all bought by the company, because he doesn't have any clothes of his own to wear out. Before he was selected by the company, he was moving bricks at a construction site. Before he came to Haicheng, he had never lived in a house with air conditioning and a washing machine. He's afraid of being let go by the company, so he works harder than anyone. He hopes he can become famous, but he lacks confidence and is always afraid that he won't be able to make money in the future. So when the company gives him a subsidy, he is never willing to spend it. Part of it goes to his sister for tuition and living expenses, and part of it he saved for his sister's future tuition and living expenses. He is unknown. He is clearly handsome, has a unique style of dancing, and sings very well, but he only has less than 2 seconds of screen time in the pilot episode. Because he has no background, and his company is just a small company that has just started, but he was seen by more people because of his strength and hard work, and he gradually began to shine. What do you call this? Shui Peng said, this is called defying fate and changing one's destiny. Shui Yunxin was already stunned. She widened her eyes and murmured, don't say any more, or I'm going to become a fan. So, Shui Peng continued to teach her, Marketing is not about how many fans you buy or how many press releases you put out at the beginning. It's about playing the right card at the right time. Brother Shui Yunshin asked, "You planned all this long ago, so that's why you're so calm?" Shui Peng, "Not really. This marketing idea was written by Wei Bai." Shui Yunshin was shocked. "When did he write it?" Shui Peng, "When the company had just signed Chun Mao." Shui Yunshin was beyond shocked. She thought of the recent incident with Jiang Xiang and couldn't help but be sincerely convinced Wei Bai is truly a marketing genius. Shui Peng strongly agreed with this point. He believed that Wei Bai had an extraordinary market sensitivity and knew how to play with user psychology. He also had one last sentence. Shui Peng said, "This show will air until the beginning of July. The results of the high school entrance exam will also be out around that time. If Chun Mao can win the championship and Chun Yao can become the top scorer in the Luqing high school entrance exam, that will be the ultimate checkmate." Shui Yunshin was numb. "Doesn't that require a bit of luck?" Shui Peng smiled. "Of course, it doesn't matter if the checkmate can't be completed. Don't put too much pressure on the kids. According to my expectations, it will be fine if Chun Mao can get into the top 3. Shui Yunshin, "He definitely can. But Brother Shui, what if other companies spend money to buy a debut spot?" Shui Peng waved his hand. "Tencent relies on the talent show to make money. Whoever can make the money is their daddy. Besides, I, your brother, have been in the industry for so many years, not for nothing." Shui Yunshin was completely relieved, and her whole person relaxed. "By the way, the idea I just told you, you should make a proposal for it." Shui Peng stood up. "Chun Mao is your artist, so be more attentive." Shui Yunshin. No wonder Shui Peng explained it in such detail just now. So this is what he was waiting for. On Saturday, while having lunch, Wei Bai also watched the pilot episode. After watching for more than 20 minutes and not seeing any shots of Chun Mao, he simply stopped watching. After a few more episodes, the screen time would definitely increase, and then he could just watch the fan-edited promotional videos. In fact, Chun Mao was already pretty much established and a marketing plan had long been set. Whether Wei Bai watched the show or not had no effect on the final result, but he still wanted to watch it. And the Campus Bell singer only loves me. Chun Mao also became famous later, but in essence he was still the same ruffian Wei Bai met at the beginning, with a lot of negative material that was all suppressed by spending money. The current Chun Mao was completely different. He had unknowingly become a person that Wei Bai somewhat admired. Wei Bai was very willing to see such a person shine, and was also willing to provide him with some help. Besides, this was a mutually beneficial matter. If Chun Mao could become a big hit, then he would have made a fortune. After lunch, Wei Bai rested at home for a while and then prepared to go to Macao Culture. He had to go write songs and complete the KPI that Shui Peng had assigned him. Before leaving, Wei Bai felt empty because classmate Xie was not at home today. At 10 o'clock in the morning, classmate Xie was picked up by Hua Jingxian, and the two of them went for a beauty treatment. According to classmate Xie, it was mainly to cleanse the skin and then rehydrate it. Wei Bai understood perfectly. He had been Mrs. Wu's beauty and hair companion since he was very young. While Mrs. Wu had her beauty treatments, he would play by himself nearby. Based on Wei Bai's experience, this whole routine would take at least 2 or 3 hours. So, it was the right decision for classmate Xie not to bring him along. However, previous weekends were always spent studying, working, and going to Muchao with classmate Xie. Today, he would have to act alone. As he stepped outside, a wave of humid heat, signaling impending rain, rushed to meet him. Just then, the WeChat notification sound chimed. Wei Bai opened it and saw a message from classmate Xie, reminding him that it would rain today and to remember to bring an umbrella. The corners of Wei Bai's mouth lifted, and he went back home to get an umbrella. In fact, before seeing this message, he was just about to check the weather forecast. Being a grown man, he naturally knew to pay attention to the weather when going out. But the feeling of being remembered and reminded by someone was very different. Moments like these are incredibly small in life, but happiness is made up of many such small moments. Wei Bai began to look forward to the rain today. Making music on a rainy day should feel more inspiring. Muchao Culture was not far away, and soon, Wei Bai arrived at the company. Pushing open the glass door, he found 2 new faces in the office. Shui Yunshin made the introductions, and he learned that one was in finance and the other was in HR and administration. This grassroots team was becoming more and more professional. After getting to know each other, Weibai walked straight into the studio. The finance and HR staff in the office were quite excited. I didn't expect little Turtle himself to be so handsome. Yeah, if he participated in the Supernova training camp, he would definitely debut, right? Yinxin, didn't you say classmate Xie would come too? Why didn't we see him? Shui Yinxin, maybe the Fairy Junior has something on today. Oh, stop being so curious. You'll get to see him sooner or later anyway. The two nodded. True. Everyone started to get busy with their own work. Around 10 o'clock, Ning Buqiao arrived. Shui Yinxin wasn't surprised to see him at all. Here, to borrow the computer again. Shui Yinxin smiled. Ning Buqiao handed her the milk tea in his hand, sat down at the company's only desktop computer like it was his own, and smiled. My laptop is too laggy for video editing. Shui Yinxin, you focus on editing. I'll treat you to lunch. Every time Ning Buqiao came, he would bring his superior a milk tea or coffee, so it was only right for her to treat him to lunch. Okay, Ning Buqiao agreed. Just call me when it's time, senior sister. He often forgot the time when editing videos, and it wouldn't be good to make senior sister Shui late for her lunch. Shui Yinxin was very satisfied with his attitude. He was so refreshingly straightforward. It was very comfortable to be around him. Ning Buqiao turned on the computer and took out a hard drive from his bag. Shui Yinxin suddenly noticed something different about him today. After looking at him for a moment, she said in surprise, Chower, did you get new glasses? He used to wear a pair with thick, black frames, but now he had switched to a pair with thin, large frames. Senior sister Shui noticed he changed his glasses. Ning Buqiao's heart felt like it had been gently nudged by something. He tried to act calm, but the corners of his mouth curved up subconsciously. Yeah, I just got them yesterday. Shui Yinxin, they look very nice. They suit you well. He should have changed them long ago. The thick black frames didn't suit Junior Ning, making him look dull. With the change of glasses, his whole appearance was much fresher. Shui Yinxin returned to her desk, thinking to herself that Junior Ning was actually not bad-looking. Tall and thin, wearing pure titanium thin-frame glasses and fond of pairing shirts with jeans, he had the authentic air of a top student. The thought flickered and was gone. Shui Yinxin quickly immersed herself in her work again. Leaving Ning Buqiao by himself, staring at the transfer progress bar on the computer screen, his mind filled with the sentence, they look very nice, they suit you well. When he had just changed his glasses, his roommates had all said the same thing. Zhou Yin had even said he should have changed them long ago, that he looked much more handsome after the change. Ning Buqiao knew he had ordinary looks, not a handsome guy like Wei Bai or Zhou Yin. Hearing such compliments left him feeling indifferent, with no particular feeling. But when these ordinary words came from senior sister Shui, they made his heart flutter and his head feel dizzy. He thought to himself, Zhou Yin was right. He should have changed these glasses a long time ago. In the office, everyone worked in silence. Occasionally, the sound of a piano or an electronic tone could be heard. Ning Buqiao was very focused on his work. When he was working, he didn't try to create opportunities to talk to Shui Yinxin. Growth had taught him that while he was happy to be able to work in the same space as Shui Yinxin, the most important thing to do at such times was not to find chances to chat with her, but to concentrate on completing his own work. A person who is focused on themselves is more worthy of being loved. Hello, food delivery. Outside the glass door, a delivery man in a blue uniform was pushing the door and poking his head in. Shui Yinxin looked around, but everyone shook their heads. I didn't order any food, she said, looking at the delivery guy. Whose is it? The delivery guy lifted the bag to look, then chuckled. It's for little Turtle. Huh. Oh. Shui Yinxin hurried over to take the delivery. It's for our company. Yes, that's right. Who would order food for Wei Bo with the nickname Little Turtle? And it was such a beautifully packaged meal. Without a doubt, it had to be from the fairy underclassman. Carrying the heavy bag, Shui Yinxin knocked on the studio door and pushed it open. Mr. Wei, your food has arrived. Wei Bo. Had he ordered food? He didn't think so. Taking it, he glanced at it and immediately understood it was from student Xie. He took the bag and walked out of the studio. I'll eat in the conference room. Everyone in the company usually ate in the conference room and opened the windows to air it out, preventing the smell of food from filling the entire office. Shui Yunxin said, "We're going to eat too. Chao, let's go, let's go." Ning Wuchao looked up, dazed for a couple of seconds, before saying okay. Wei Bo watched this scene, a sense of novelty rising in his heart. When did Shui Yunxin start calling Ning Wuchao Chower? Also, were the two of them going to eat together? Were they that close now? But then again, Chower came to the company every weekend. It would be hard for them not to get close. Wei Bo gave Ning Wuchao a meaningful look, then smiled with the kind of gratification a proud father would have. Entering the conference room, Wei Bo started to unpack the food. As he opened the insulated bag, a rich, roasted aroma immediately hit him. Wei Bo looked down and saw a light brown clay pot in the bag. Lifting the lid, the greasy aroma of the cured sausage had infused the rice. In the center of the rice sat a soft-boiled egg, and a ring of golden, crispy rice lined the edge. It looked incredibly fragrant. Besides the clay pot rice, there was also a separately packaged portion of fatty char siu and baby bok choy, along with a small bowl of savory pickled radish. Wei Bo's appetite was instantly whetted. However, he didn't pick up his chopsticks right away. Instead, he arranged the food nicely, took a picture, and sent it to student Xia. "Little turtle, I'm having clay pot rice for lunch." "What is student Xia having?" "Student Xia, clay pot rice too. The fatty char siu is very fragrant." "Little turtle, what a coincidence." Student Xia, "Yes, what a coincidence." Just like that, Wei Bo chatted with student Xia while eating the fragrant clay pot rice. He wasn't sure if it was his imagination, but he felt that this particular clay pot rice was exceptionally delicious, even better than what he'd had in restaurants. The fatty char siu was rich but not greasy, and even the pickled radish was perfectly to his taste. Wei Bo ate until not a single centimeter was left. Afterward, he carefully examined the pot, thinking it was of good quality. He could take it home, wash it, and use it to make clay pot rice for student Xia in the future. After eating, Wei Bo didn't go straight back to the studio, but went downstairs for a stroll. The anticipated rain hadn't arrived, and the weather was becoming increasingly hot and humid. After a walk, Wei Bo went to the coffee shop downstairs, bought a coffee, and brought it back to the company. Just as he stepped into the office, he heard the pitter-patter of rain. Looking out the window, he saw the rain was coming down hard and fast, completely different from the light rain mentioned in the weather forecast. "Oh my God, good thing I ran fast, or I would have been soaked," Shui Yunxin's voice came from behind. "This rain is way too heavy, but at least it's finally raining." It was getting so stuffy. Wei Bo turned around and looked at Shui Yunxin and Ning Buochao standing together. One was seemingly talking to herself, but was actually speaking to Ning Buochao. The other was looking down at the girl, his eyes and the corners of his mouth filled with a smile. Wei Bo finally understood what Liao Yinan had said before, that back in high school, the ambiguous atmosphere between him and student Xia was impossible to hide. Anyone with eyes could see it, just like now, as Wei Bo looked at the two of them. Although their conversation was ordinary and the female protagonist was still oblivious, Wei Bo could feel some sort of emotion and atmosphere slowly stirring between them. No. Why was he becoming as much of a gossip as Liao Yinan? No, he wasn't gossiping. He was accumulating material for his music. A rainy day like this, an atmosphere so ordinary yet filled with undercurrents. There must be a melody that could express this feeling, right? Play the piano and compose a song on a rainy day. Wei Bo turned and walked decisively toward the studio. Shui Yunxin and Ning Wuchao were at their desks for the lunch break. At noon, Shui Yunxin would wrap herself completely in a trench coat and like to nap with her head on her desk. Ning Wuchao didn't have this habit, but recently he had formed another habit, watching Shui Yunxin sleep. She would wrap herself up like a baby, rest her head on her arm, and fall asleep quickly. She was very serene when she slept, like a still frame from an animation. He took out his phone and secretly took a picture of her sleeping. In fact, he had already taken many similar photos. But Ning Wuchao felt that each one was slightly different. This time, for instance, she was frowning slightly. Was she thinking of something unhappy? Or was the pressure from work too much? Ning Wuchao didn't know. But he knew that Shui Yunxin was the kind of person who could bravely defeat any difficulty she encountered. A few minutes later, he turned his head and continued to work. Zhou videos were easy to edit. Sometimes, just trimming the beginning and end was enough. What he was actually working on today was Ling Shi's video. There was too much footage, and he had discussed several versions of the concept with Wei Bai. The final version they settled on was very complicated to edit. Ning Wuchao took it very seriously, both because of Wei Bai's trust and because this was something he loved to do. The rain pattering against the glass was the best ambient sound. That afternoon, Ning Wuchao was very efficient. This rain had come at the perfect time. In one afternoon, Wei Bai wrote 3 songs. He kept one for Zhou Yan, planning to arrange the music himself. The others, as usual, would be handed over to a professional studio. Previously, Chui Peng had recommended a music arrangement studio to him. After working with them, both he and Ms. Wu felt they were quite good. He stood up and stretched. A glance at the time showed it was already almost 6 o'clock. There were several unread messages on his phone from classmate Xie. Classmate Xie, the rain is really heavy. It'll be hard to get a taxi. I'll come pick you up. Classmate Xie, I'll be there at 6. Arriving at 6? Wasn't already almost 6 now? Wei Bai quickly replied, just saw your message. Okay. A moment after he sent the message, Wei Bai received a reply. Classmate Xie, I'm here. Wei Bai, holding his phone, walked out of the workroom. Just then, he happened to see classmate Xie, wearing an oversized blue hoodie, push the door open. Instantly, 2 excited wows erupted in the office. Wei Bai understood. He had been just as dumbstruck the first time he saw classmate Xie. He walked toward the girl at the door. The girl at the door walked toward him. Classmate Xie, you didn't steal Sister Xian's car again, did you? Wei Bai laughed. Xian Yuman nodded. Not steal, borrow. Wei Bai patted her hooded head. All right, borrow it is. Their natural, casual interaction, in the eyes of a new finance and HR staff, was more like an idle drama than an idle drama itself. The two of them secretly chatted on WeChat. Oh my God, Yunxin was being too modest. She's not just a fairy. She's Nuwa's own daughter, isn't she? So beautiful. I almost stopped breathing when she walked in. They look so perfect together. Even the ships I stand aren't this well matched. And in such heavy rain, the girl actually drove to pick up the guy. If this isn't true love, what is? When will I ever encounter a divine love like this? But don't you think there's something going on between Yunxin and Ning Wuchao, too? Huh? I don't think so. I just think they have a good relationship. The two chattered away. Wei Bai and Xian Yuman had already entered the studio. Just a little finishing up to do, Wei Bai said, writing down the arrangement requirements. Xian Yuman sat to the side, watching him work. A stormy day, a quiet music studio, 2 people. The atmosphere gradually began to thicken. Should I help you write? Xian Yuman asked. No need, Wei Bai said. It's a piece I just wrote. You haven't heard it yet. Xian Yuman moved a little closer. Then is there anything I can help you with? Classmate Xia's question was a bit strange. He was just writing arrangement notes? What was there to help with? In her tone, intonation, and timbre when she said it. He understood. Classmate Xia was urging him to finish his work quickly. Wei Bai immediately sped up his work. Xian Yuman moved a little closer again. This time, seeing Wei Bai typing furiously, she said nothing more. Because she felt her little turtle might have misunderstood her. She genuinely wanted to help. She wasn't trying to rush him. But of course, it wouldn't be bad if he could speed up a bit. After all, a rainy day, going home with a damp chill. Lips touching, tinged with moisture, carrying the unique crispness of the rain. A kiss like that would be very different, wouldn't it? The cool touch would spread, and warmth would gradually rise. As lips and teeth mingled, scents of cool wood and lemon would slowly blend. Their breathing would become clearer and clearer, while the sound of the rain would gradually fade away. In the end, she would probably only hear their gasps and the sound of their heartbeats, a mixture of the rainy day's chill, the damp heat of a passionate kiss, and the rising tide of emotion. She would curl up in his arms and gradually fall asleep. Last night's rain was wonderful. He had slept early and soundly, only waking up at 6:30. The moment he woke up, Wei Bai remembered what happened after getting home from work yesterday, the kissing as soon as they walked in the door, and then this and that. Last night was too intense. Waking up this morning, he felt a surprising sense of wistful emptiness. A person can't indulge their desires like this, can they? There should be some restraint, right? But then again, wasn't it a bit too early to talk about moderation when one was young and full of vigor? It wouldn't be too late to start on that after 40, right? With that thought, Weibo looked at Xie, who was sleeping soundly. Lately, Xie had hardly ever gone back to her own room. That big, beautiful room was now entirely occupied by all sorts of turtle toys. Of course, Weibo had no opinion on the matter. Who wouldn't want to sleep with their sweet-smelling, soft girlfriend? The ones who say they don't are probably just the ones who've never had it, right? From the sound of it, the rain hadn't stopped. It seemed today's outdoor morning run was off the table. Note the qualifier outdoor. The residential community had a public gym, and Weibo planned to use the treadmill this morning. It was only 6:30. He'd let Xie sleep a while longer and wake her at 7. Weibo gently turned over, picked up his phone, and checked his unread emails. There was a work email from Yu Guang, sent at 1 in the morning. After reading it, Weibo replied, "Don't stay up so late. Things can be done slowly." But he knew that Yu Guang most likely wouldn't listen to him. That man was just like Jiang Xiang, a complete workaholic, and the kind who held himself to incredibly high, even perfectionistic standards. Weibo himself quite liked working, but he also cherished his time outside of work. Basketball, badminton, watching movies, playing games, playing music. He enjoyed them all. He also loved morning runs, especially with Xie. In high school, they would go for a morning run together every weekend. Then, they would go for breakfast together, fried dough sticks and soy milk, savory pancakes, and rice noodles. Should they do that today? They had been in Haicheng for so long, but had never had a proper, local Haicheng breakfast. He looked up the nearby morning markets and breakfast shops. In the blink of an eye, it was 7 o'clock. Weibo turned, reached out his arm, and pulled Xie into his embrace, whispering, "Time to get up." Sim Yuman's eyes fluttered a few times before finally opening completely. Her voice was groggy with sleep. "What time is it?" They had agreed to go for a morning run every weekend. They didn't go yesterday because they woke up late. Would it be the same today? If they woke up too late, they wouldn't have to run, right? 7 o'clock, Weibo replied. "It's still raining outside. How about we run at the community gym?" Siem Yuman. Okay. Throughout the entire process of getting up, she was practically hanging on Weibo. It wasn't until she splashed her face with cold water that she truly woke up. After washing up and changing into their sportswear, the two of them went out, sharing a large umbrella. The community gym was open 24 hours. Whenever he'd passed by and glanced inside, it was always quite full. But today, because of the rain, there was no one else there when they arrived. They put down their umbrella and bag, warmed up first, and then started running. Weibo walked over to a treadmill, first setting the speed to 6 and the incline to 1. He usually started at this speed, and once his body was warm, he would increase the speed to 8 to 10 and the incline to 2. The belt whirred to life, and Weibo gradually fell into its rhythm. He turned his head and saw that Xie's pace was basically the same as his, and he felt relieved. Previously, when he and Xie had run together at a gym, she had started right off with a speed of 9 and an incline of 7, which had given him a huge shock. Fortunately, although Xie was a tiny bit aggressive, she was very receptive to advice. He only had to say one word, and she changed her speed and incline to match his. After running for 40 minutes, Weibo was drenched in sweat. He slowed the speed and incline, walked for a bit, and then got off the treadmill. Xie did exactly the same, even getting off the treadmill at the same time he did. "Let's cool down a bit," Weibo said, gulping down water. "How about we go to the morning market for breakfast before heading home?" A morning market? Siem Yuman immediately thought of the times in Lucheng when they would eat breakfast together after their morning runs. Her small, sweet dimples appeared. "Okay, I looked it up. The nearest morning market is more than a 20-minute walk, and it's not very big," Weibo said. "We might as well take a taxi directly to the Dongling market. It's very famous and has a lot more to offer, and it's also a 20-minute ride." Although Hui Jingshuan's car was still in his parking spot, it wasn't convenient to park at the morning market. And while it was raining now, it was just a light drizzle, so it wouldn't be hard to get a taxi. Once they agreed, they took their umbrella and walked to the nearest entrance to hail a cab. Dongling Road is about 100 meters long and has 30 to 40 breakfast shops, Weibo said, relaying information he'd seen online. They say it's the most authentic place to experience a Haiqing breakfast. Xian Yuman looked forward to it. We can walk around the market after breakfast. In high school, they only went to the morning market for breakfast. It was different now. They had their own little home and could buy lots of fresh vegetables, fruits, seafood, and meat to bring back. As they were talking, a taxi arrived. After getting in, Weibo noticed that Xie seemed to be in a very good mood. So, classmate Xie really wanted to have breakfast and browse the morning market with him, didn't she? But he had been too busy recently. Thinking about it carefully, it had been a long time since they had gone out on a date like this. Yeah, did this count as a date? How could it not? If eating at a mall counted, then naturally, eating at a wet market also counted. Looking at the joyful glimmer in classmate Xie's eyes, Weibai reflected to himself that he would have to arrange more dates unrelated to work or studying in the future. Even something like this, grabbing breakfast and strolling through a market together, could bring a full sense of happiness. There wasn't much traffic on Sunday morning. 20 minutes later, the two arrived at the Dongling wet market. As soon as they got out of the car, they realized the rain had completely stopped. The heavens are on our side. Weibai smiled. Classmate Xie, what do you want to eat? Shangjian. Xie Mamian looked at the street lined with breakfast stalls and said softly, how about we share an order first? Of course, Weibai had no problem with that. Okay, let's get a small order of Shangjian first, then try something else. When getting breakfast, a crowded place isn't guaranteed to be good, but an empty one is very likely to be bad. The two soon found a shop specializing in Shangjian that had a good number of customers and sat down. They ordered a soy milk and 4 crab roe Shangjian. The Shangjian was ready quickly. Weibai came back with the food and said with a smile, it looks delicious just by looking at it. He took a sip of soy milk, picked up a Shangjian, and took a bite. It was indeed delicious. The bottom was crispy, the bun skin was fluffy yet chewy. The soup inside was savory and sweet, and the meat filling was full of the flavor of crab roe. Weibai quite liked it. However, compared to the Shangjian, he was more focused on classmate Xie, who was currently eating it. Seeing how much classmate Xie was enjoying her food, his heart felt full and content. After finishing the Shangjian, the two slowly strolled to a noodle shop and ordered a bowl of scallion oil pork chop noodles. The scallion oil was fragrant, and the pork chop was huge. After sharing the bowl of noodles, they were already 70% full. The last bit of space in their stomachs was reserved for a sticky rice ball. Inside the rice ball were black rice and glutinous rice, as well as salted egg yolk, pork floss, pickled vegetables, and youtiao. Weibai and classmate Xie ate the entire rice ball, taking turns bite by bite. I feel like I won't be hungry even by noon. Xie Mamian had never eaten so much in the morning. She was in such a carb coma, she felt a little dazed. Weibai laughed. Who was it just now who said they could eat a steamer of Xilong Bao after the rice ball? Me, Xie Mamian said flatly. My eyes are bigger than my stomach. Weibai had to admit that. Classmate Xie's eyes really were big, but her appetite really wasn't. In the end, although they said they ate the rice ball bite for bite, most of it actually ended up in Weibai's mouth. Weibai was also quite full. Once a person is full, they no longer feel any hunger looking at any food. This feeling is a bit like the time after you-know-what. Those who know. Now, looking at this street full of food, they were too full. They didn't even want to look. We'll come again, Weibai said. Next time, we'll eat something else. Xie Mamian hummed in agreement. The two walked to the intersection and entered the market. Entering from this intersection, the first row was entirely lined with butcher shops. Beef, lamb, pork belly, a dazzling array. Before, when Weibai saw fresh meat, he would think about picking a piece to take home, mentally planning how he would cook it. Now it was different. He didn't even glance at the butcher shops. Fortunately, classmate Xie felt the same way. The two of them walked forward quickly, turning directly into the third row. That's right, the third row, not the second, because the second row was seafood, and the same principle as the butcher shops applied. The third row was all vegetables, which looked much more refreshing. When you're full, you don't even want to buy meat. Weibai lamented. Xie Mamian, actually, I don't really feel like buying vegetables either. So they walked past the vegetable section, entered the fifth row, bought some fruits and snacks, and then left the market. To be honest, Weibai didn't even feel like eating fruits or snacks at that moment, but since they were already there, they had to buy something, right? They took a taxi home. The rideshare car stopped at the entrance of their residential complex, and the two got out. By now, Weibai had mostly digested his food. Thinking back, those beef ribs looked really fresh, Weibai said. The brisket was also pretty good, and I saw the stall at the very end had a sign saying brisket was 35 a gene. That's really not expensive for fresh brisket. MHM, Siamamiya nodded. The vegetables were all very fresh too, and there were some I'd never seen before. After this exchange, the two fell silent. The market was great, the meat was great, the vegetables were great. So why did they come back with so little? It turned out it was because they had eaten until they were stuffed. Silence. A few seconds of silence. Suddenly, both of them laughed at the same time. The laughter started small, then grew, like the sound of playful roughhousing. Ha 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 ha. Weibai laughed until his stomach hurt. After catching his breath for a moment, he said, still laughing, "Who on earth goes to the market, eats until they're too full, and then comes back without having bought much of anything?" Siamamian blinked her eyes. "I did. I bought a pack of butterfly pastries, a box of blueberries, and 4 peaches." Weibai smiled again. By now, the rain had stopped and the sky had cleared. More people were out and about in the residential complex. A new mother pushed a stroller, taking her child out to play, while some well-dressed young people hurried out as if heading for an appointment. It was an ordinary morning. Weibai and Siamamian walked home carrying the butterfly pastries, blueberries, and peaches they had taken a taxi to buy. Weibai thought to himself, this kind of life is mundane for anyone. But I'm so happy. Really. By the time they got home, it wasn't even 10 o'clock yet. Once inside, Siamamian couldn't wait to take a shower. The sweat from her run had long since dried on her skin, and Siamamian generally didn't allow that state to linger on her for too long. After her shower, she changed into fresh, comfortable loungewear. Weibai wanted to take a shower right after. After their shared bath in the tub last time, he was no longer the person who had to wait for the scent of classmate Xie to dissipate from the bathroom before going in to shower. Now he was braver. After a shower, he changed into the loungewear classmate Xie had bought for him and stepped out of the bathroom. He saw classmate Xie sitting on the sofa in the living room, playing on her phone. A phone-absorbed classmate Xie was a common sight. But what was uncommon was that she was leaning sideways on the sofa, allowing Weibai to see that there was actually a chopstick stuck in her hair. To be more precise, classmate Xie's long hair was tied up into a low bun, and a chopstick was inserted through it. Classmate Xie, Weibai walked over and observed the chopstick closely. I'm sure this is a chopstick, not a hairpin. Weibai was familiar with this kind of hairstyle for girls, using a hairpin to secure the hair up. With just one hairpin, the hair could be held very firmly, not coming loose even if you shook your head. But he had never seen classmate Xie with this hairstyle before. Classmate Xie usually wore her hair straight, long, and black. Sometimes she would use a curling iron to make it wavy, like a little princess. Other times, she would braid her hair, not a simple plait, but a fishtail braid. Weibai had found it pretty and asked classmate Xie about it once, which was how he learned the formal name for that style. And at home, classmate Xie usually wore a ponytail, sometimes high, sometimes low, or sometimes just a simple messy bun. Weibai thought that even when classmate Xie just casually tied up her hair, it looked incredibly beautiful. Just like now, she looked beautiful even with a chopstick in her hair. And that chopstick was even a disposable one. Siamamian's face flushed slightly. I couldn't find any hair ties. It was uncomfortable to let her hair down at home. Without a hair tie, she couldn't make a ponytail. Without a hairpin, she could only use a chopstick to tie up her hair. Weibai was surprised. Didn't we buy a whole pack last time? Once, after a meal, he had accompanied classmate Xie to buy them at a boutique shop outside the school. Black hair ties, a pack of 10. Siamamian decided to explain seriously. It's like this with girls' hair ties. You use them, and then they just disappear. Weibai understood. Just like guys' socks. You wear them, and then suddenly there are lots of single ones. Siamamian's eyes widened. Why would there be lots of single ones? Weibai, I don't know. It wasn't me. I don't have that problem. I'm talking about Zhou Yin, Ningbo Chao, and Pancom. Siamamian looked half convinced, half skeptical. Weibai quickly changed the subject. Classmate Xie, I think you look especially beautiful with your hair up like this. Classmate Xie had a very standard oval face, and carried an aura of a secluded valley beauty. With her hair pinned up, this aura became even more pronounced, as if she had stepped out of an ancient painting. Of course, this chopstick was rather damaging to the aesthetic. It would be better if it were replaced with a proper hairpin. Weibai sat down, opened Taobao, and immediately started looking for hairpins. Classmate Xie, what do you think of this one? Xie Mamian looked at the product image, a yellow hairpin that looked like Pikachu's tail, and fell into silence. Weibai understood this kind of silence. He smoothly exited that page and clicked on another product image. I clicked the wrong one just now. I meant this one. Xie Mamian looked at it very seriously. It was gold, with a large flower and long, dangling ornaments, resembling a prop from her aunt's new short drama. It's beautiful, Xie Mamian said, enunciating each word heavily. It's just not very suitable for everyday wear. Weibai understood this way of expressing things too. He smoothly exited the page again and humbly asked for advice. Then what kind do you like, classmate Xie? Xie Mamian reached out and tapped on the screen. Weibai looked. It was a wooden hairpin. It had no flowers, pearls, or gems on it. It was so plain it looked like a chopstick. Would this really do? For the first time, Weibai felt doubt regarding classmate Xie's aesthetic sense. Xie Mamian had already started selecting. Wooden hairpins differed in the type of wood, color, and streamlined design. She liked the undyed ones with simple, graceful lines. Using Weibai's hand to browse, Xie Mamian selected 3 hairpins. After going through this selection process, Weibai had started to find the wooden hairpins pleasing to the eye. Moreover, he felt disdain for his earlier doubt. How elegant and full of charm these wooden hairpins are. Sometimes, a person doesn't need to be so insistent on their own ways, especially in areas they aren't particularly skilled in. Weibo went with the flow, immediately paying 54 yuan to purchase all 3 wooden hairpins. He just had to wait for them to arrive so he could see Xie put them on. After choosing the hairpins, with a chopstick still in her hair, Xie Mamian went with Weibo to the study room to study. As soon as she entered, she saw a black hair tie lying quietly on the desk. She immediately wanted to pull out the chopstick and tie her hair up with the hair tie. Sensing her movement, Weibo quickly stopped her. Don't. It looks so good like this. Xie Mamian's raised arm fell in an instant. The chopstick looks good too. Weibo nodded. Of course. And so, Xie Mamian studied with a chopstick stuck in her hair. While she was studying seriously, Weibo set up his Pocket 3 and started recording. He would record his daily life with Xie whenever he thought of it, capturing the beautiful moments. Now, the chopstick in Xie's hair was both beautiful and interesting, so he decided to film it. But he didn't treat it as a task. For instance, when they had just gone out for breakfast and to the market, he hadn't filmed anything. If a beautiful moment is given the definition of must be recorded, then it ceases to be beautiful. He filmed when he felt like it, and when he didn't, he used his brain and eyes to record. He wasn't filming these to build an online presence, nor did he intend to post them. He was simply recording. Perhaps, when he and Xie were old, they would sit together, looking through photos and videos from their youth. At that time, they would remember how on an ordinary weekend like this, Xie had used a chopstick to tie up her hair because she couldn't find a hair tie. And before that, they had gone to the market, eaten a huge breakfast, and gone for a run at the gym in the rain. It was these little moments that allowed them to understand each other more and more, and to love each other more and more. Weibo knew this was the love he wanted. To win one person's heart, to eat, sleep, run, shop for groceries, work, and study with her, spending every second of life together. With the camera set up on the desk, Weibo also began to focus on his group project. Xie Mamian sensed something and suddenly looked up, noticing the camera was recording. After a moment's pause, she faced the lens, a smile slowly blooming on her face. What was there to film about studying? Of course there was, because the little turtle wanted to film it. This ordinary morning now had a unique meaning. Weibo was very good at making plans. In high school, he would make corresponding study plans for everything, from the entire semester down to each week, and set small goals for himself. Previously, because he had just started his own business, things were a bit chaotic, so his plans weren't well made and were often disrupted. Now that his business was gradually getting on track and his studies were under control, he was able to create his plans with ease. With a reasonable schedule, his career, studies, and life became more organized, and he completed tasks more efficiently. He even freed up some time to occasionally play PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds with Zhou Yin and the others, and Valorant with DeBeo and Sanjin. Lately, however, he had been spending the most time on badminton, playing with Xie almost every day. Sometimes he played singles with Xie, and sometimes they found others to play mixed doubles with. Weibo's skill level was decent among the guys, but Xie's technique and stamina were so outstanding among the girls that eventually, no one wanted to play mixed doubles with them. So, Weibo resorted to his old trick and found 2 guys to play doubles. His 3 roommates could be paired up in 3 different combinations, providing 3 sets of opponents. Unfortunately, the opponents were too weak to give Xie a satisfying game. Fortunately, time passed quickly, and the tournament was this weekend. Weibo liked competitions. He knew himself quite well. He particularly enjoyed challenging things. During elementary, middle, and high school, he loved exams, sports meets, tug-of-war competitions, speech contests, and the like. Starting a business in college was also very challenging, but watching things progress step by step was as gratifying as improving his exam scores or winning a long-distance race. He had been too busy before to participate in various school competitions. But now, he was well-trained and had a partner as skilled and in sync as Xie. For the 5th Haida University Mishue Cup Badminton League, they were sure to pass the preliminaries. On Saturday, May 31st, the departmental tournament began. The first morning was for men's singles. Weibo went with Ning Buochao to the gymnasium to watch. They didn't arrive until after 9, by which time the matches had already started. A total of 32 people had signed up for the men's singles in the School of Computing. They were divided into 8 groups of 4 for a round-robin tournament. Each group would play 6 matches, with each match being a 15-point game. The first to 15 points would win, with no deuce. The matches started at 8:30 and went until 10:30, followed by a half-hour break before the knockout stage, which would determine the 2 finalists for the grand finals next weekend. Wei Bai and Ning Buochao walked closer to Zhou Yin to watch him play. Old Zhou is playing quite. For a moment, Wei Bai couldn't find the right word to describe Zhou Yan's state. This form, this posture, this power. Yes, he was playing quite well. But at the same time, why did it feel like he was deliberately showing off? As the saying goes, the antidote is always within 3 steps of the poison. Wei Bai's eyes scanned the area around the court. Sure enough, he saw Xin Yueyuan not far away. Wei Bai. He just knew there had to be a reason behind every one of Zhou Yan's actions. Wei Bai shifted his gaze back to Zhou Yan. The computer science department was full of skilled players. He couldn't afford to be so unfocused. In this regard, Zhou Yan was no match for him. He played with classmate Xie every day, and every time he gave it his all, without any distraction. Otherwise he would lose. Bye-bye. Just as his mind was wandering, Wei Bai felt something bounce up and pat his shoulder. He turned his head, and as expected, it was Xiao Xia. Bye-bye, Xiao Xia, dressed in casual clothes with an external liaison department officer, work badge hanging around her neck, poked her head over. Didn't you sign up for mixed doubles? Why are you here today? Wei Bai smiled. Here, to support Zhou Yan. What are you doing here? Wei Bai pointed to Xiao Xia's work badge. Does the external liaison department have business here? Xiao Xia immediately puffed out her chest. Of course. See that banner. Mishue Cup Badminton League. Mishue Cup. We got the sponsorship. Wei Bai was gratified. Well done. Xiao Xia became even more proud. There's been so much going on lately. I'm so busy. After I get through this busy period, I'll come hang out with you guys. By the way, where's Mumin? Is she coming later? You should bring her to get some lemonade. It's free. There's a math lecture today. Classmate Xie went to attend it, Wei Bai said. Save a cup of lemonade for me. I'll bring it to her later. Xiao Xia immediately agreed. No problem. Then she looked at Ning Buochao. You guys should all come get some. After you get it, help me fill out an online feedback form. Ning Buochao smilet kenti. Okay. Xiao Xia was quite busy. After a few more words, she returned to the Mishue booth. Wei Bai watched the match for a while longer, checked the time, went to get the lemonade from Xiao Xia, and left the stadium to pick up classmate Xie from the lecture hall. When he arrived, classmate Xie was already standing at the entrance of the lecture hall. Wei Bai walked over and handed her the lemonade. How did you get out so quickly? Is the lecture over? He had planned to go in and listen to the lecture with classmate Sia for a while. No, Simp said lightly. He just kept talking about his own glorious achievements, without touching on anything professional. It was boring. Have some lemonade to calm your nerves? Wei Bai smiled. The sponsorship for the badminton tournament was secured by Xiao Xia's department. Simp took the lemonade, inserted the straw, and took a big gulp. Her body, drained from the terrible lecture, finally felt revived. Thanks Xiao Xia for the lemonade, she said with a blink. It soothed my soul. Wei Bai smiled. They sponsored 500 cups in total. There will be more tomorrow, but it's limited to one per person, so we won't be able to get any tomorrow. Simp sighed with great regret. How was Zhou Yan's match? She asked. Wei Bai. He's probably been eliminated by now. As he spoke, he looked down at a group message. It was a battle report from Chower. Then he looked up and smiled. Sure enough, he was eliminated. They're only picking 2 people. If they were picking 4, old Zhou would have made it. Is it 2 pairs for mixed doubles too? Simp asked. She hadn't paid much attention to the tournament rules. Wei Bai nodded. Yes, 2 pairs as well. Because many mixed doubles players were not from the same department, whichever department they registered under was the one they would represent. Wei Bai had filled out the registration form for the computer science department, so he and classmate Xia were scheduled to participate in the CS department selection trials tomorrow afternoon. We'll definitely pass the preliminaries. Simp was very confident about this. Wei Bai was even more confident. We'll definitely take first place. Simp nodded emphatically. Chatting. The 2 of them walked toward the cafeteria. It was then that Wei Bai noticed a wooden hairpin stuck diagonally in classmate Xia's hair. The hairpin was dark brown, with no extra carvings. Only the end of it was shaped vaguely like a cloud. The wooden pin held her black hair in a bun at the back of her head, coiled in a smooth curve. A single wooden pin, a head of black hair, glowing with a soft luster in the sunlight. So simple, so beautiful. The hairpin he had picked out was truly worthy of her. The cafeteria wasn't crowded at this time. They had a simple lunch and went home together. The afternoon was dedicated to studying and work, and it wasn't until after 9 in the evening that the 2 went to practice for an hour. Before bed, Wei Bai told Simp the funny story about Zhou Yan. I just found out myself. After he was eliminated, he flipped his racket over and belted out a song, The Most Beautiful Sun. Simp nodded. I know. Wei Bai. Suddenly, a thought occurred to him. Xinyu Yuan went to watch Zhou Yan's match today, so she must have been the one who told classmate Xia. Wei Bai was quite happy. He felt that classmate Xia's relationship with her roommates was getting better and better. And Xiao Xia. Thinking about it now, he hadn't seen Xiao Xia in a while. But classmate Xia said that Xiao Xia visited their dorm almost every week. She has friends, an academic field she's interested in, and a handsome, gifted boyfriend like him. When he thought about it that way, classmate Xia's university life was pretty good. Yeah, what's with this sense of accomplishment, like I'm raising a daughter? He wasn't some kind of daddy boyfriend, but he was the boyfriend. And as the boyfriend, sometimes he needed to exercise his rights. Classmate Xia, did you feel it? The mixed doubles match started at 1 in the afternoon. At 12 o'clock, Wei Bai changed into his badminton attire. Classmate Xia, it's time to go. Soon, Simp walked out of her room. Wei Bai's eyes lit up. This was the first time he had seen classmate Xia wear a badminton skirt. Her long hair was tied up in a high ponytail. She wore a simple white top paired with a blue pleated sports skirt. Beneath the hem of the skirt, her legs were long, slender, and straight, her delicate skin glowing with a healthy sheen. Even though Wei Bai had seen all sorts of versions of classmate Xia, he was still struck to the heart by this one. So beautiful, alluring, light, agile, graceful, and full of vitality. The amazement in Wei Bai's eyes was impossible to hide, and words of praise flowed from him, one after another. Go get changed, Simp pushed him, in my room. The little turtle has good taste now. He had already changed into his badminton clothes. What else was there to change into? Could it be that classmate Xia had prepared a surprise for him? Wei Bai walked into classmate Xia's room. A large bed, half of which was covered in turtle plushies. On the other half, laid out on the smooth sheets, was a set of badminton clothes. Wei Bai picked it up to have a look. A matching white top and shorts in the same color scheme. It was a matching couple's outfit. Wei Bai took off the clothes he was wearing and changed into the ones classmate Xie had prepared. There was a full-length mirror on the left side of the entrance. Weibai took a look in the mirror, feeling delighted. Thinking about it carefully, this was the first time he and classmate Xie had worn matching outfits. On that thought, when they bought badminton shoes a while ago, classmate Xie had bought the same pair as him. Was that also to match today's clothes? With that thought, Weibai walked out of the room. Looks good, Xian Yuman said with certainty. Very good looking. The blue and white color scheme really suits the little turtle. Weibai smiled. I think so too. The two of them slung their rackets and bags over their shoulders and walked to the door. Two pairs of predominantly blue badminton shoes were placed neatly on the top shelf of the shoe rack. Weibai sat on the shoe-changing stool to put on his badminton shoes. Classmate Xie, when did you buy the clothes? Before or after we bought these shoes? Xian Yuman blinked and answered honestly. After. Weibai smiled. I figured. Xian Yuman, how did you figure? That day, I originally wanted to buy the gray pair. Weibai laughed, but classmate Xie kept saying the blue ones looked better. Classmate Xie, a classmate Xie who really liked to plan things long in advance. Chapter 445. How's the skill? Mixed doubles isn't a place for lovey-dovey couples to flirt. In the gymnasium, Dai Luan, the chief referee for the preliminaries and a former national badminton mixed doubles gold medalist, looked at the influx of matching couples' outfits, and his expression darkened. It's a campus tournament. As long as the atmosphere is right, it's fine. His colleague Zhao Yuan looked at him and said with a smile, you can't have expectations that are too high. What atmosphere? Dai Luan's face was grim. Dating atmosphere? What's wrong with dating? Zhao Yuan started talking about a male student in his class. He took my elective. His name is Weibai. He didn't have much of a foundation, but fortunately, he's a fast learner with good comprehension and strong physical fitness. His girlfriend sometimes comes to play with him, and guess what? Two guys can't even beat the two of them. Dai Luan scoffed. That's probably because the guys are too weak, right? Zhao Yuan, not really. From my observation, first, it's because you can tell at a glance that the girl has had proper training. As for the second reason, doubles is all about chemistry, and that little couple has plenty of it. Dai Luan's gaze swept across the court, full of matching outfits again, his tone unreadable. Well, great. They're basically all couples, so everyone has chemistry. That student of yours has no advantage anymore. I don't even know if he signed up. As he spoke, Zhao Yuan looked at the list in his hand and said cheerfully he actually did. I can't speak for the rest, Zhao Yuan said, but he'll definitely pass the preliminaries. Dai Luan was noncommittal. He believed that badminton was a particularly sacred sport. It was one thing for mixed doubles partners to be in a relationship, but what was the meaning of them all wearing matching outfits, and the girls even wearing makeup? Were they treating the competition like a fashion show? He didn't understand. Were all university students these days so disrespectful of the competition? But what was going on with this mixed doubles tournament? Why were there so many spectators? More than the men's singles, men's doubles, and women's doubles combined. Many proper small and medium-sized tournaments didn't draw this many people, right? Could it be that these were all the cheering squads for the young couples? Inside the gymnasium, everyone was chatting enthusiastically. I heard Weibai and Xian Yuman signed up too, right here in our department. For real? Oh God, I hope I don't get drawn against them. Wouldn't that just make me and my partner look like background decoration? What background decoration? This is a competition, not a beauty pageant. If you can win, wouldn't they become the background decoration? Me win? You know my skill level. True, haha. Elsewhere, another group of acquaintances was also chatting. What are you doing here? Did you sign up for mixed doubles too? Is your partner from the computer science department? Nah, they said the campus belle and her boyfriend signed up. I came to have a look. You mean Xian Yuman? Wow. I've never seen her in person. Is she really that beautiful? Let's just say, stunningly beautiful. One look and you'll never forget. Even every strand of her hair is perfect. Her photos are gorgeous enough. Could she be even more beautiful in person? You'll see for yourself in a bit, won't you? More and more people arrived. When Weibai and Xian Yuman got there, both of their faces red. So many people. Why are there so many people? Weibai wondered. Is mixed doubles this popular? However, this confusion didn't last more than a few seconds before he had his answer. Because from the moment they entered the gymnasium, the buzzing atmosphere suddenly went cold, and then erupted with even greater intensity. That must be Simp, right? Damn, she's a million times more beautiful in person than in photos. If I had to play against her, I'm afraid I'd be so mesmerized I'd just watch her instead of the shuttlecock. So beautiful. Her boyfriend is handsome too. They make a good pair. Matching outfits. I'm shipping them. I'm shipping them. Weibai held his girlfriend's hand, walked through the murmuring crowd, and went to the sign-in desk. Miss Xie, it seems most of the audience is here to see you, Weibai said with a smile. Simp didn't like being stared at. The aura around her had already shifted from a demure girlfriend to an aloof, formidable queen. Hearing Weibai's words, she let out a soft and then emphasized, most of them are girls. Most of the people here to see her were girls. Why would she say that? After a moment's thought, Weibai understood. Miss Xie was afraid he would get jealous. Was he that petty? It was an objective fact that Miss Xie was beautiful. If he got jealous every time a random guy on the street commented on her looks, wouldn't he have to live in a vat of vinegar? But he understood Miss Xie's personality. Miss Xie was the type of person who would use affirmative words and actions to give him a sense of security. With that thought, Weibai squeezed Miss Xie's soft little hand and smiled. But surely some of them are here to see me, right? After all, I am quite handsome myself. Simp nodded seriously. On a scale of 10, you're a 10. Weibai, then what's my score for my badminton skills? Simp blinked. Weibai had asked the question to tease her, but seeing her frown in response, he ended up amusing himself. All right. It's okay if you can't answer such a difficult question. The draw is starting. A total of 16 pairs from the computer science department had signed up for mixed doubles. The matches would be determined directly by a draw, starting from the round of 16. The winners would advance to the next round until the semifinals, from which 2 pairs would be selected for next week's finals. A student from the student union was holding a megaphone and calling out names. People went up to draw lots accordingly. Weibai. Hearing his name, Weibai was about to step forward when he suddenly felt a small tug. He tilted his head to look at Miss Xie. Simp's eyelashes fluttered. She stood on her tiptoes and whispered in his ear in the faintest possible voice. But I know how good your stick skills are. Right triangle and area operators equals. Xie. Moo. Man, how can you be so mischievous? Is this the time to be saying such things? Simp was doing it on purpose. On purpose. In his mind, Weibai was furiously spanking a certain someone, but on the outside, he was already walking up with a smile to draw his lot. Exactly 16 pairs had signed up for mixed doubles, which meant no one would get a bye. Everyone had an opponent. Weibai drew number 5 and nodded at the student who had drawn before him and also got number 5. He didn't know any of the players, nor was he aware of their skill levels, so it didn't matter to him who he drew. That classmate didn't react much, but his partner was particularly excited. Simp, we're playing against Simp. This time, the classmate reacted. Then we're sure to win. He believed his skills were excellent, and his partner was a rare teammate who didn't drag him down. Weibo was different. He wasn't sure about this person's skills, but Simp's appearance, her arms, legs, and skin tone didn't look like someone who exercised regularly. She would definitely play at the front court. Let's play well, the no. 5 classmates said, a little excited. Let's try to crush them with a high score. His female partner replied, wouldn't that be bad? Simp is so beautiful. I'd feel bad if we made her cry. That's true, the no. 5 classmates said, his eyes fixed on Weibo and Simp, his voice low. Keep an eye out. If it really comes down to it at the end, let's give them 2 points just to save them some face. At this moment, Weibo was beside Simp, the word helpless written all over his face. Just focus on the game. Don't think about anything else for now. Simp nodded obediently. What else was she thinking about? Nothing. It was clearly the little turtle who was overthinking. With the referee's command, the match officially began. 8 pairs were competing simultaneously, but most of the eyes in the stadium were fixed on court 5. Simp is really beautiful, but I wonder how her skills are. She won't fail to get past the round of 16, will she? To be honest, her boyfriend doesn't look like the athletic type either. Damn, Sun Jianpeng, who they're playing against, is from my class. He's a genuine badminton player, plays almost every day. Well, all right, but it's no big deal if they lose, right? It's a college tournament. Participation is what counts. There's a lot of discussion, mostly predicting their downfall. Zhou Yin was not convinced, but this time he didn't shout anything, because he understood the chemistry between Wei Bo and Simp, let alone the round of 16. Even the semifinals wouldn't be a problem. These people are just waiting to be proven wrong, he whispered to Ning Buochao. Ning Buochao smiled gently. Only those who have played against them know how strong they are. He and Conger often served as their training partners, so he knew this very well. Bang! After a few test shots, Wei Bo raised his arm and delivered a jump smash. Sun Jianping reacted quickly, lunging to save his shuttlecock. He thought to himself, that was a good shot. Most people wouldn't be able to return it. This Wei Bo kid has some skills. Too bad he ran into him in the round of 16. He'll have to stop here. The save was excellent, and Sun Jianping now had a better understanding of his opponent's ability. A light of certain victory flashed in his eyes. Next, he was going to get serious. With that thought, his eyes were fixed on the shuttlecock and the two people on the other side. Simp was moving quickly, clearly intending to block at the net. Although her footwork looked interesting, was a net block that easy to execute. From the moment the backcourt teammate starts the smash, the front court player has to judge the trajectory of the return and move into position in advance, completing the movement and the shot in a very short time. This move required extremely high chemistry. He and his partner didn't dare to do it casually, otherwise it would be embarrassing if his smash was fierce as a tiger, but his partner's net block was half a beat too slow. Sun Jianping felt that even if Simp had some ability, she couldn't possibly be stronger than his partner, could she? He and his partner had started training 2 months in advance for this tournament. With a whoosh, the shuttlecock flew through the air. In an instant, Simp slid, her feet launching into the air as if on springs, her racket swinging out, clap. The rapidly spinning shuttlecock came smashing over. Sun Jianping lunged extremely fast, but still couldn't scoop it up. Fuck. He watched helplessly as the shuttlecock hit the ground. Now, recalling Wei Bo's heavy smash, it was clear from the beginning that it was a setup for Simp's net block. I underestimated them, he said, his expression turning grim. His female partner also swore. Fuck, even if you weren't underestimating them, could you have returned that shot just now? Just a moment ago, they were talking about giving the other side 2 points, but they were shut down right at the start, and so beautifully at that. From now on, she would never dare to look down on pretty girls again, especially astonishingly pretty ones. These kinds of girls were Nuwa's own daughters. In addition to beauty, all their other skills were maxed out too. 1 o'clock, the referee's voice rang out. Immediately after, Zhou Yin let out a loud yes that exploded in everyone's ears. What is skill? What is chemistry? Zhou Yin boasted. See that? This is called skill. This is called chemistry. He directed this sentence at Ning Buochao, but his voice was loud, as if making a public announcement. However, no one paid him any attention, because everyone was shouting yes. Those who understood what happened were genuinely shouting, and those who didn't were shouting along with the crowd. Great shot. That shot was incredible. Whoa, did you guys notice? The moment the ball was hit, before it even landed, Wei Bai had already run over to Simp, ready for a high five. Was he that certain the other side couldn't return it? It seems mixed doubles really is best played by couples. How can an ordinary pair match this kind of chemistry? At the same time, Dai Luan and Zhao Yuan walked over and happened to see that point. The group referees were all students, so the two of them only needed to keep an eye on things. Therefore, they wandered with their hands behind their backs, watching this group for a moment, that group for a few seconds. How about that? Zhao Yuan looked at Dai Luan. What was I just saying? There's a difference between couples and couples. Some are just here for fun. Some really have something. It's just 1 point. Dai Luan also thought it was a good point, but 1 point didn't prove much. Sometimes it could just be luck. Even as he said this, his feet didn't move. Unlike with the previous groups, he didn't lose patience after just a few seconds of watching. On the court, Wei Bai smashed hard again. This time he aimed directly for the backhand. The opposing female partner's return was of poor quality, and Simp seized the opportunity to block at the net again. 2:0. Net cord. In 3:0. 4:0. 4:1. 5:1, 21:4. Game. Yeah, awesome. Off the court, Zhou Yin shouted at the top of his lungs. Immediately after, a tide of cheers and applause surged forward. This is a completely dominant victory. Damn, they left old Sun completely stunned. They're so damn strong. And from what I observed, although the campus belle scored all the points, every shot from Wei Bai was aimed at setting her up to score. Really? Are they that strategic? I couldn't even tell. The chatter was buzzing. The match was won so quickly that even Zhao Yuan was a little surprised. Looks like when they usually play doubles against two guys, they're holding back. Dai Luan was no longer stubborn, and his words were more agreeable. Even long-term partners might not have this kind of chemistry. He was a professional, and his observations were more detailed than those of an ordinary student. From what he saw, the boy would just lift his chin at the girl, and she would know how to play the next shot. Likewise, the girl would glance back, and the boy would quickly adjust his strategy. With this level of chemistry, it was no injustice for the other side to be beaten 21:4. It seems some couples are really suited for mixed doubles, Dai Luan said, rubbing his nose. Zhao Yuan laughed. Don't I know you? You and your ex-girlfriend broke up while playing together, so now you think all couples can't be partners. Dai Luan snorted. They'd argue too if they were playing professionally. Chapter 447. Blame me for losing? Have you seen how good-looking that boy and girl are? Zhao Yuan smiled. Could you start a fight with a face like that? Dai Lian fell silent. Some things were simply irrefutable. If you ask me, my student might just win the championship in the end, Zhao Yuan said proudly. He didn't know anything when he first started my elective class. Even his grip was wrong. That's only because Meng Wei and the others didn't participate in this tournament, Dai Luan snorted. If the top 3 from the national championships were playing in this, do you think your student could still win? Zhao Yuan. Why don't you just say let the Olympic champions play against them? How could you compare the professional division with the amateur division? If Meng Wei and the others had really competed, the entire nature of the event would have changed. However, for Dai Luan to say, that was a roundabout way of acknowledging the strength of Wei Bai and his girlfriend. After all, chemistry was a form of strength. The applause off the court was enthusiastic. In the center of the court, Sun Zhanping and his partner sat collapsed on the ground, unable to recover for several minutes. It was over. It was over just like that. How could it be so fast? I hadn't even gotten into my rhythm yet. The female partner's eyes were vacant. Sun Zhanping's were even more vacant. He even felt as if he had been completely drained in those short 6 or 7 minutes. 21:4. He suspected the last point they won was conceded by the other side. A disaster. An absolute disaster. He had never lost so badly since he started playing mixed doubles. Why isn't it a best-of-3 game system? Sun Zhanping had lost so miserably that he could only try to find fault with the system. If there were another game, I definitely wouldn't have let her find another chance to block at the net. If there were another game, we'd be down 0:2, his partner said, looking utterly dejected. If there were 2 more games, it would be 0:3. Sun Zhanping wanted to argue, but couldn't find an opening. Their opponent's coordination was terrifying. It was as if one person had split into 2 to play. Moreover, Sim Yuman's skill was stronger than that of the average amateur female player. Sun Zhanping even felt that someone like her should be playing in professional tournaments. Coming to play in this kind of campus amateur tournament was simply a curb stomp battle. And then there was Wei Bai. How did he manage to get a girlfriend who was so good at badminton? No, that wasn't right. How did he manage to get a female partner who was so good at badminton? Sun Zhanping looked resentfully at his own partner. He had been quite satisfied with her before, but comparisons are odious. His partner caught his look. Hey, Sun Zhanping, what do you mean by that? His partner said angrily, Are you saying it's my fault we lost? Did you manage to handle Wei by yourself? Damn it, I put up with you for a long time. You don't actually think you're all that, do you? If I hadn't had a bit of a thing for you before, who the hell would play mixed doubles with you? Standing on the side of the net, Wei Bai had intended to go over and have a friendly word with his opponents. But he hadn't expected the scene on the other side to suddenly turn into an emotional drama. He had no choice but to pull back the foot he had already stepped forward. Holding 2 rackets in one hand and student Xie's hand in the other, he walked off the court. Let's find a place to sit for a while and wait for the next match. After walking off the court, they first greeted Zhou Yin and the others. Zhou Yin waved his phone. Yuan said they're almost here. She asked how the match went, and I told her we've already won the first one. Haha. Wei Bai spread his hands. I didn't expect to win so easily either. Back in high school, old Wei had taught him, as a young man, when it's time to show off, you must show off. Because there aren't that many moments in life when you can show off, and besides, it feels really damn good. In truth, this was such a simple life lesson that Wei Bai didn't need old Wei to tell him. What was the difference between winning and not showing off, and wearing fine clothes in the dark of night? He loved to win, and he especially loved to show off after winning. Evidently, his act had impressed both Zhou Yin and Chao. Where's Kong? Wei Bai didn't see Pan Kong and asked. He just got a call from his girlfriend, Zhou Yin explained, and then he disappeared. Wei Bai nodded. Perfectly normal. Being summoned away by a girlfriend call was indeed perfectly normal. Xiao Xia suddenly popped her head out from behind Zhou Yin, waving at Wei Bai and Simp. Come over here, I have stools. You can sit and rest for a bit. There weren't many places to sit in the indoor stadium. Spectators were mostly standing or sitting on the floor. Wei Bai had also been thinking of sitting on the floor, but hearing Xiao Xia, the group followed her. Xiao Xia was still at her stall giving out lemonade. She took 2 cups, handing one to Wei Bai and the other to Simp. There's none left for anyone else, Xiao Xia said generously. It's 1 cup per person. We have a little extra, but not much. I saved these 2 especially for Bai Bai and Man. Zhou Yin and Ning Buqiao naturally wouldn't make a fuss with Xiao Xia over a cup of lemonade that cost a few yuan, and both expressed their understanding. A little while later, Simumin's group of roommates arrived. Shen Yuan was especially excited. I heard from Zhou Yin that you guys won the first game in less than 7 minutes. In reality, she had no idea what winning a game in 7 minutes meant, but that didn't stop her from thinking it was awesome. The corners of Simumin's mouth lifted slightly. Actually, it could have been faster, but they were afraid of embarrassing their opponents too much, so they had let them have 2 points at the end. Shen Yuan's eyes widened. Wow, man, I can't believe you said that. She had thought Simp would just respond with a simple She hadn't expected Simp to say a whole sentence, and a slightly smug one at that. Was this still Simp? Zhou Yishuan snickered quietly. She had seen this side of Simp before. It usually appeared when she accomplished something together with Wei Bai. At times like these, Man loved to show off just a little. Sun Xiuxiu stood on her tiptoes, looking around. Wow, so many people are wearing matching couples outfits like you guys. Man, do you think they started dating and then played mixed doubles? Or did they develop feelings after playing mixed doubles together? If it's this easy to find romance through mixed doubles, I want to give it a try too. Simp thought for a moment and said seriously, with your skill level, you just get yelled at if you played mixed doubles. Sun Xiuxiu. Huh? Never mind then. I'll find another way. Some of the group stood, while others sat, talking and laughing. During this time, Xiao Xia didn't say much. She was busy chatting on her phone. Shen Yuan asked curiously, Xiao Xia, are you chatting with your boyfriend? Xiao Xia looked up. Yeah, you and your boyfriend are so close, Shen Yuan said. To be this close in a long-distance relationship, he must really like you. Xiao Xiao's expression turned strange. Nan Iliao did seem to like her quite a lot. And it was true that she and Nan Iliao had endless things to talk about every day. However, the topics of their conversations might be slightly different from other young couples. Xiao Xia, that pair that just played against Bai Bai and Man, after they lost, the guys seemed to blame the girl. The girl angrily said she only played mixed doubles with him because she used to like him. Now it's over Nan Iliao. Holy shit, they said it right then and there? That bold? Nan Iliao. The situation here is pretty intense too. It's chaotic, but it looks like those 2 guys found out they have the same girlfriend. Nan Iliao. They're going back and forth. Looks like they're about to start fighting. Xiao Xia. Holy shit, what's there to fight about? They should hurry up and form a victims alliance. Xiao Xia was engrossed in her chat with Nan Iliao. Even when Shen Yuan and the others spoke to her, she just gave them perfunctory replies. The moment Wei Bai saw the I'm watching the drama unfold expression on her face, he knew she and Nan Iliao were gossiping together again. The 2 of them were like this back in high school. You could say their bond was forged through gossiping. Unexpectedly, even after starting college, a long-distance relationship couldn't stop them from huddling together to gossip. And because they were in different places, they could get the gossip from both High University and Jing University. Truly worthy of congratulations. Wei Bai watched Xiao Xia get more and more excited as she chatted, and he shook his head with a smile. Just then, Xiao Xia was accepting a red envelope Nan Iliao had sent her. A huge sum of 1 yuan. Xiao Xia snorted and sent back an even bigger one, 61. However, if Nan Iliao hadn't sent the red envelope, she would have forgotten it was June 1 SD. Hey, it's June 1st today, she said, raising a hand to gently tug on Simp Yuman's arm. Let's celebrate Children's Day together tonight. Aren't we a bit old to be celebrating Children's Day? Zhou Yin objected at first, then agreed, but we can celebrate brother by making it to the finals tonight. Shun Yue Yuan, ever the enthusiast for gatherings, said, let's do both then. Celebrate Children's Day and the finals. Wei Bai laughed. The match isn't over yet. Zhou Yin, you'll definitely win. Just then, the loudspeaker announced the list of pairs for the quarterfinals, calling them to draw lots for the next round. Wei Bai half listened and then said, all right, you guys figure out where to go tonight. We're off to our match. They all nodded. This time, Simp Yuman went to draw the lot and picked number 1. She brandished the number in her hand, raising an eyebrow at Wei Bai. Wei Bai smiled. I know. He really liked the number 1 and had told Student Xie in the previous round that he hoped to draw number 1. In the end, he didn't get it, but Student Xie did. Hence this adorable little gesture with a number slip. Wei Bai felt that the number 1 wasn't that important right now. A vibrant and adorable Student Xie like this was what mattered most. Starting from the quarterfinals, it was a best-of-3 format. In terms of individual skill, their opponents weren't stronger than Sun Jiangping's team, but their teamwork was much more in sync. At the very least, they didn't start fighting amongst themselves after losing the first game 8-21. Instead, they reviewed their performance. Wei Bai and Simp Yuman were also reviewing. Wonder if they've decided where to go tonight. I'll message Conger later and tell him to bring his girlfriend. Student Xia, have some water. The second game began. Soon, the second game was over. The third game began. Soon, the third game was also over. Wei Bai and Simp Yuman advanced to the final qualifying round with a sweeping 3-0 victory. This time, the male opponent they faced was an acquaintance they had played against on the court twice before. His partner, however, was someone they hadn't seen before. Wei Bai smiled and nodded at the guy before walking onto the court. The guy looked up to the heavens. Holy shit, after all the hard work to get to the final, how do we end up drawing you? His girlfriend linked her arm through his. Are they that good? The guy replied. Lao Su and I, 2 guys, had a hard time playing against them. What do you think? His girlfriend was shocked. For real? Are you exaggerating? The guy said, to be honest, in singles, I'm definitely not afraid of Wei Bai. But in mixed doubles, that girlfriend of his girlfriend immediately chimed in, is so beautiful it's distracting. The guy has skills that are just overwhelming. The key to mixed doubles technique is the man's powerful smash and the woman's control of the net, a seamless blend of offense and defense. The coordination between those two, combined with the girl's precise control of the net, completely dictated the rhythm of the game, leaving him and Lao Su constantly on the defensive. Could his girlfriend compare to Lao Su? The guy said dejectedly, well, drawing them isn't without its silver linings. His girlfriend said, exactly. I get to observe the campus belle's beauty up close at the net. The guy, maybe you should just forfeit. But all talk aside, forfeiting was impossible. While those two were talking about Wei Bai and Simp Yuman, Wei Bai and Simp Yuman were also analyzing them. Zhou Yutong can dominate me in singles, Wei Bai said. My power smashes won't give me a real advantage in this match. Simp Yuman said, observing the posture and movements of Zhou Yutong's girlfriend. His girlfriend isn't weak either, but she's definitely not as good as me. Wei Bai smiled. Then I'll be relying on Student Xie for this match. He knew that Student Xie had been holding back this whole time, because Student Xie's calculation ability was so far beyond the average person's. Her shots were too precise. If she went all out, a 21-0 score wasn't impossible. Of course, The lack of coordination from the previous two pairs of opponents was also a factor. This time, they were facing Zhou Yutong and his girlfriend, who looked like she was good at the game. "We have to win," Wei Bo said to Simp with a smile. Simp, holding the racket in her right hand, looked at him, her dimples deep. "If you want to win, you will win. But not if you're afraid to lose." That was an interesting thing to say. Wanting to win means the goal is clear. You just have to play towards that goal. But being afraid to lose means you're hesitant, worried about what others will think if you lose, or perhaps afraid to face yourself after a loss. At that moment, Wei Bo suddenly thought of himself during past exams. He often liked to tell himself, "I need to improve this time," rather than "I can't do worse," or "How will I face mom, dad, and old Wong?" Right now, playing badminton was the same as taking an exam. He wanted to win, but he wasn't afraid of losing. Wei Bo smiled knowingly. Student Xie really understood him. The match began. This time, their rhythm was much faster than in the previous two matches. They still used a quick finish tactic, but the quick was different. Simp had some understanding of Zhou Yutong's strength. After testing the opposing girl's skill with a couple of shots, she gave Wei Bo a look. Wei Bo immediately started to pick up the pace. This time, he didn't compete with Zhou Yutong on power. Instead, he relied on fast, flat drives in the midcourt, with the main goal of breaking their defense and forcing Zhou Yutong to return with a low-quality shot. The scoring opportunities still mostly fell to Simp. She played drop shots that prevented the opponents from lifting the shuttlecock high, and when Wei Bo attacked, she quickly rushed the net to block. Zhou Yutong was beaten so badly he lost his temper, and his performance got worse and worse. By the end of the first game at 21-10, he was already quite discouraged. His girlfriend, however, still had some fight in her. Simp controlled the front court the entire game. "I think if you could just get the rhythm back and use your heavy smashes and spot smashes, Wei Bo might not be able to defend against them." Zhou Yutong looked pale. Wei Bo's greatest strength isn't smashing, it's his wide area defense. "Girlfriend, huh? Fine, but we still have to play our best, right?" Zhou Yutong gulped down half a bottle of water. Right. Hadn't they still scored 10 points? It wasn't 21-0. There was still hope for a comeback. The second game was about to begin. "We can't let Zhou Yutong set the pace right from the start." Wei Bo strategized with Simp. "His heavy smash is very strong." Simp nodded. "Give him no openings, speed up the rallies, don't give him a chance to breathe." Simp's tone was calm, yet carried a faint killing intent. Wei Bo reached out and patted her head. "Adorable. Cute." Simp was a bit baffled. What was cute? Not giving the opponent a chance to breathe? Was that cute? This little tortoise's taste was really unique. Simp nodded lightly. "You're cute too." Wei Bo smiled. He and student Xie had one thing in common. They were both obsessed with victory and strength. He wasn't the type of person to think good enough is good enough, and she wasn't some silly, sweet damsel in distress waiting to be rescued. Many people might like that silly and sweet, kind of cute. But Wei Bo liked student Xie's intelligence, strength, resilience, and courage. Even more, he loved the feeling of fighting side by side with her. Second game, start. Zhou Yutong came out aggressive on his serve, sending a heavy smash straight at Wei Bo. With a thwack, Wei Bo drove the shuttlecock towards the opposing girl. Zhou Yutong had already anticipated it, darting out from behind his girlfriend and, with another thwack, driving the shuttlecock back to the midcourt. The shot was aimed at Wei Bo, but Simp moved swiftly sideways, leaped up, and smashed a clear straight to the opponent's back baseline. Zhou Yutong could only retreat to receive the shot, thinking to himself, "Fuck, they've seized the initiative again." As that clear was returned, Wei Bo moved to the front court to cover and smashed it straight down the line into an open spot. The white shuttlecock slammed onto the ground, leaving Zhou Yutong stunned. "Holy shit, are you for real, man? Did you two eat Dove chocolate before the match? How is that rotation so silky smooth?" His girlfriend was stunned too. She hadn't expected Wei Bo to rush from the back directly to the front court and smash it right away. She hadn't even had time to react, stunned, beaten into a daze again. So, how were they supposed to play this? This was too hard. Why did she have to draw number one? She should have known better and let Zhou Yutong, with his unlucky hands, draw the lot. Simp was high-fiving Wei Bo to celebrate winning the first point of the second game. Great shot. Her voice was clear, and her eyes held a smile. Weibo was beaming. Of course. That smash he just made was truly powerful. Awesome. Siem Yumin looked at his smile, at the glistening beads of sweat on his forehead, and suddenly wanted to stand on her tiptoes and kiss him. But of course she couldn't. It wasn't because there were many people around, but because she was afraid it would make him lose focus. Let's go again, she said. Weibai, again. There was only one goal, and that was to win. Focusing on winning, this was the feeling of competition. Awesome. The next game went even more smoothly than the first. It ended at 21:6. The surrounding applause was thunderous, with some cheers sounding like a fan club, mixed with waves of screams and whistles. Weibai followed the sound of the whistles, and, sure enough, saw that kid Zhou Yan. Around Zhou Yan were all their friends, each one looking even more excited than them. Weibai smiled helplessly, took student Xie's hand, and waved to the crowd. Best 2 out of 3. They had won 2 games in a row, so there was no need to play the third. The victory was sealed. Next up was the all-school final next week. Student Xie, we won. He looked down and smiled at the girl beside him. Siem Yumin nodded lightly. It was simple. Wow. Student Xie really knows how to act cool now. Weibai laughed. I'll be counting on you again next week, Student Xie. Siem Yumin. Of course. The two enjoyed the feeling of victory for a moment before turning back to talk to Zhou Yutong and the others. Don't bother with the you let me win stuff. Zhou Yutong waved his hand. I accept my defeat wholeheartedly. Weibai smiled. I was going to say, let's schedule a singles match sometime. Zhou Yutong's eyes lit up. Then you just wait to get crushed. This guy, relying on his girlfriend's formidable skills. Just watch how I crush you in a singles match. Sure, Weibai smiled. I'll be waiting. He had always been only moderately fond of badminton. Among ball sports, he much preferred basketball. But now, things were completely different. He had won. Winning would make him develop a passion for a sport. He had always been this way. Just like with video games, if there was a game he could never play well and couldn't show off in front of his teammates, he would just stop playing it. Now, he was basking in the glorious victory that badminton had brought him. He announced that he had fallen in love with badminton. While talking with Zhou Yutong, he heard the referee announce that the other match was tied 1-1. That meant they had to play another game. Weibai and Siem Yumin went to watch the final game together. That pair in the red matching outfits is strong, Weibai said. If we had drawn them just now, it would have taken some effort. Siem Yumin nodded. We'd still win. Weibai smiled. With that much confidence, shouldn't we be aiming for the championship next week? Siem Yumin. It's in the bag. Weibai. Of course. Zhao Yuan and Dai Luan walked up behind them and happened to overhear these two sentences. Zhao Yuan. As expected of my students. Dai Luan. Elective course students count as your students? Zhao Yuan, why not? As long as they've learned badminton from me, they're my students. Dai Luan, isn't this just the semi-finals of a department tournament? This guy is being so smug. Anyone who didn't know better would think he'd coached a national championship medalist. The computer science department's level isn't that great, Dai Luan said. They won't be so lucky next week. Zhao Yuan. Lucky? You call this lucky? Dai Luan. Fine, I admit they have some skill. But the final next week won't be that easy. Zhao Yuan. Let's make a bet, shall we? If they win, you treat me to a meal. Dai Luan. And by win, you mean the championship, right? Zhao Yuan. No problem. Dai Luan deal. If they lose, you treat me. Their teamwork is good, but the boy's skill is a weak point. Against a truly skilled opponent, he definitely won't be able to defend. Take that 1-meter-90-centimeter guy from the School of Economics last week, for example. He was practically a semi-pro. Zhao Yuan has never seen that tall guy. Otherwise, he definitely wouldn't have made this bet with me. Dai Luan was already mentally planning what kind of feast he'd have Zhao Yuan treat him to. Weibai and Siem Yumin watched the game for a while and were about to leave. When they turned around, they saw their badminton elective teacher. Weibai greeted him. Teacher Zhao, you can't watch the matches too? Zhao Yuan. I'm here as a referee. Weibai oh. Thank you for your hard work. We're leaving now. Zhao Yuan watched with a grin as the two young university students left hand in hand. He was already considering what he'd have Dai Luan treat him to next week. After leaving the crowd, Weibai saw Zhou Yin and the others. Pan Kong was also back, and he had his girlfriend, Wan Rongrong, with him. Pan Kong had taken Wan Rongrong to treat his roommates to a meal before, so everyone was somewhat familiar with her. However, this was the first time Wan Rongrong had seen Simp. Her gaze couldn't help but drift towards Simp's face. Now this is a goddess. The belle of their school of management, Song Liusi, was no match for Simp at all. Simp noticed her gaze and smiled at her. Wan Rongrong immediately felt overwhelmingly flattered. The goddess smiled at her. "Ah, so beautiful." She was definitely going to brag about this like crazy when she got back to the dorm tonight. Originally, when Pan Kong wanted to bring her along, she had been a little nervous. But after receiving Simp's friendly gesture, she gradually relaxed. She had an easygoing personality and quickly hit it off with Xiaoxia and the others. As the group walked toward the school gate, just before they reached it, Xiaoxia was already affectionately calling her Rongrong. "By the way, where are we going?" Wan Rongrong asked belatedly. "To Heroine Plaza," Xiaoxia said, "to eat Heidaleo." That's right, this was the result of their long discussion. As university students, they enjoyed a full day 12% discount. Plus, Xinyue Yuan was a prestigious Black Sea member, which meant she could get a 50 off 200 coupon for dining every month, 2 15% off coupons for dishes, as well as complimentary fruit platters and dishes. She could also book and secure a table in advance. In short, with Xinyue Yuan there, they had many perks for eating at Heidaleo, and splitting the bill wouldn't cost much per person. Their group all loved Heidaleo, a bunch of people sitting together, fighting for food, loud and lively. There was a direct bus to Heroine Plaza, a ride of just over 20 minutes. Today was Sunday, and it wasn't even 5 o'clock when they arrived, but there was already a queue at Heidaleo's entrance. Xiaoxia sighed. "Good thing we have a Black Sea member," Xinyue Yuan said proudly. "This is a membership I worked hard to eat my way into. You get 1 point for every yuan spent, and you have to spend 12,000 yuan in a year to become a Black Sea member." They had booked a table in advance, so they were seated smoothly without having to wait. After ordering the 4-broth pot, everyone started chiming in to order dishes. Wei Bo and Simp huddled together, ordering things they both liked, such as spicy tender beef, beef rolls, and kelp sprouts. Shrimp paste, hum, the spring crispy bamboo shoot, and vegetable platter. Hum. Wei Bo laughed. "How come you want to eat everything?" Simp whispered. "What I want to eat the most is..." Wei Bo was shocked. "Stop right there." Hearing her tone and inflection, Wei Bo had a premonition she was about to say something outrageous again. "What are you thinking?" Simp said slowly and deliberately. "What I want to eat the most is aorta. Their aorta has a great texture." Wei Bo. Oh, could he be blamed for misunderstanding? If you want to eat aorta, you want to eat aorta. Why whisper like that? Wei Bo remembered her excellent stick skills comment from the afternoon and thought to himself that he would have to properly discipline this little rascal when they got home tonight. Was there any way to make her a little more restrained in her daily life? Wei Bo thought, maybe she'll tone it down once she's full. Aorta, duck intestines, crispy tripe. "Let's just order these for now," Sun Xiuxiu said. "Otherwise, it'll be a problem to pack up the leftovers." "Did we order the aorta?" Xiaoxia asked. Wei Bo looked at the interface. Ordered 3 servings. Xiaoxia. Ok. Heidaleo served the food quickly. Xiaoxia wanted to take a picture for Liao Yinan, but as soon as a dish arrived, it was tossed into the pot. She had no time to take a picture of all the dishes. In the end, she could only send Liao Yinan a photo of the 4-broth pot. Xiaoxia, eating Heidaleo with Bai Bai and Man Man. Nan and Liao, looks like a big group. Xiaoxia, yep, it's the people from their 2 dorms. Nan and Liao, how many couples have formed from the 2 dorms? Still 2 pairs? Xiaoxia, right, but Pan Kong brought his girlfriend today too. It's my first time meeting her. They're pretty sweet together. Nan Iliao. Oh man, doesn't that leave just Ning Buichao all by himself in Gabai's dorm? TSK, poor guy. Xiaoxia, I forgot if you hadn't mentioned it. I'll definitely have to ask him later when he's going for his 99 confession, so I can go watch it live. Nan Iliao, don't forget to live stream it for me. Xiaoxia, with our relationship, you can count on it. The 4-broth pot bubbled away, and everyone ate with great gusto. After exchanging a few messages with Liao Yinan, Xiaoxia immediately joined the battle for food. Aorta! Her aorta. The aorta in the pot was long gone. Xiaoxia had to eat something else first, thinking to herself that she'd order 2 more plates of aorta later. But when she looked down, she saw 2 pieces of aorta lying in her bowl. Xiam Yumin was on her left, and Zhui Yishuan was on her right. It must have been one of them who put it there for her. Her dear friend Xiaoxia was so moved. Just as she was thinking this, she saw Zhui Yishuan pick up a piece of tripe and place it in her bowl. Zhuizhui is so nice. Xiaoxia was incredibly touched. But after dropping the tripe, why were Zhuizhui's chopsticks still hovering over her bowl? Zhuizhui, are you zoning out? Xiaoxia asked. Zhui Yishuan glanced at her. Then, steeling herself, swiftly snatched a piece of aorta and popped it in her own mouth. Xiaoxia was stunned. Stealing her aorta. Zhui Yishuan had learned bad habits. She was now robbing her in broad daylight.